Chapter 74. Murong Yu slowly opened his eyes. 2 rays of light shot out from his eyes. He gently exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. After checking the condition of his body, his face revealed a look of surprise. This time, he was almost strangled to death. It could be said that it was a blessing in disguise. Murong Yu discovered that his strength had improved again. He had already reached the peak of foundation establishment late stage. He was only 1 step away from entering the revolving reflection stage. Moreover, his strength had been further compressed. The power was several times stronger than before. What surprised Murong Yu the most was that his physical body had reached the peak of high-grade magic tool. It was about to break through to a grade 1 spirit tool. Murong Yu stood up and glanced at the skeleton behind him that was flickering with a golden light. He couldn't help but reveal a look of lingering fear. He was unconscious, but he knew how terrifying the skeleton was. He also knew that he was almost killed. After checking the purple ribbon immortal robe, he found that it wasn't damaged. Thus, he continued to use the purple ribbon immortal robe to create a set of Zhushenzong disciple robe and put it on. Then, his figure flickered and disappeared on the spot. When he reappeared, he was already in the Hichu Luoshu world. He came to Hichu's side. "Hichu, how long have I been unconscious?" "Half a month." Murong Yu frowned. "It's actually been half a month? What is the background of that skeleton?" Murong Yu's eyes flickered as he looked at the golden skeleton from within the Hitu and Luo Shu worlds. A skeleton that had been dead for who knows how long still had such terrifying killing intent. One must know that Murong Yu had the purple ribbon immortal robe as a defensive treasure. But, even so, Murong Yu was almost killed. If he hadn't entered the Hichu Luoshu world immediately. In fact, if Murong Yu had entered the Hichu Luoshu world a moment later, he would have been ground to dust. However, what surprised Murong Yu was that the golden skeleton's terrifying killing intent did not destroy the purple ribbon immortal robe. However, even the violet ribbon immortal robe couldn't protect him. This was puzzling. "He's at least an immortal emperor," Hichu said solemnly. "Immortal emperor level?" Murong Yu was so frightened that he jumped up. Although he didn't know how strong an immortal emperor was, However, his intuition told him that an expert of that level was absolutely terrifying. It was an unimaginable expert that he could not hope to reach. At the very least, they were experts from the immortal world. "Perhaps it's more than that," Hichu said in a deep voice. The cave was filled with chaotic energy. Generally speaking, even an ordinary expert would be annihilated in this place. However, even though that person's physical body had been destroyed, his bones remained intact. Moreover, there was such a terrifying killing intent. Murong Yu didn't know the concept of an immortal emperor, but Hichu was very clear about it. That was a top expert of the immortal world. However, according to Hichu's estimation, even an ordinary immortal emperor's corpse wouldn't be preserved after passing away here. This golden corpse must have been a super expert when he was alive. If he was an immortal emperor, then how did he die here? This is the cultivation world. Murong Yu circled around the golden corpse. His eyes shot out 2 rays of divine light. He looked at the corpse as if he wanted to see what was written on it. Hichu was also silent. In this world, the rules were very strict. People from the immortal world couldn't descend into the cultivation world. Otherwise, once the experts of the immortal world rushed into the cultivation world, it would break the balance of the cultivation world. Of course, it didn't mean that immortals couldn't descend. It was just that it was very difficult to descend. If they were discovered, they would die. However, this expert who was at least an immortal emperor not only descended, but also died here. This was really strange. Could it be that he was being hunted down? Murong Yu thought of the most likely answer. However, he quickly shook his head and laughed. He laughed self-deprecatingly and said, I'm just a small cultivator in the foundation establishment stage. Why do I care so much? Anyway, this immortal emperor is already dead. Even if he knew why this immortal emperor came to the cultivation world and why he died here, so what? At most, he would gain more knowledge. After leaving the golden corpse, Murong Yu circled around the stone room. However, even if he dug 3 feet into the stone room, he still couldn't find the corresponding thing. This immortal emperor is really too poor, right? He didn't leave anything behind. In the end, Murong Yu stared at the golden corpse and said speechlessly. Originally, Murong Yu had thought that since the peerless expert was already dead, there would be no need to worry. Then, the immortal weapons he used before he died would be left behind, right? At the very least, there would be some peerless techniques left behind. Now, all that was left was a useless skeleton. Hearing this, Hichu sneered and said, "This person has been dead for God knows how many years. Under the effect of the chaotic energy, even a 9th-grade immortal weapon would have turned into ashes." Alright. Murong Yu sighed helplessly. Thinking about it, it seemed to be the case. However, this golden corpse was even more terrifying than an immortal weapon? Could it be that it had reached the legendary level of a divine weapon? Even the chaotic energy couldn't destroy it. Murong Yu squatted in front of the golden corpse and looked at the corpse in front of him. His eyes moved and no one knew what he was thinking. However, he only stared at the golden corpse. Want him to move the corpse? He didn't dare to. He was lucky to not be killed the first time. If he moved it again, he wouldn't be so lucky. What a pity. This corpse is even more powerful than a 9th-grade immortal weapon and has endless killing intent. It's definitely a great weapon. If only I could move it away. Murong Yu sighed and moaned, looking somewhat unwilling. Just think about it. The golden corpse had such a terrifying killing intent. If he met some experts he couldn't defeat in the future, as long as he released this corpse, wouldn't he be able to move unhindered in the cultivation world? However, Murong Yu only thought about it in his heart. He didn't dare to move the corpse at all. It's not difficult to move it away, Hichu suddenly said at this time. Murong Yu was pleasantly surprised. Hichu, can you really take the golden corpse away? Murong Yu asked with great joy. Hichu didn't answer. Instead, he said, "Today, I'll show you the power of the Hichu Luoshu." As he spoke, an ancient scroll suddenly appeared in front of Murong Yu. It was the Hichu Luoshu. Under Hichu's control, the Hichu Luoshu rapidly enlarged and enveloped the entire stone room in an instant. Waves of invisible power filled the entire stone room. Whoosh! At this time, Murong Yu only saw a phantom flash before his eyes. The golden corpse sitting cross-legged in the center of the stone room had disappeared. Murong Yu was slightly shocked. He probed the Hichu Luoshu world with his divine sense and found that the corpse had disappeared. This time, he was really shocked. The Hichu Luoshu is the world's #1 wondrous book and possesses endless power. Not to mention a mere corpse, it can even take in the sky, Hichu said with a pale face as he appeared beside Murong Yu. It seemed that in order to take in the golden corpse, he had used up a lot of energy. It can even take in the sky? Murong Yu's eyes narrowed and flashed. Of course, but the premise is that you are strong enough to unlock the secrets of the Hichu Luoshu and have enough power to make it swallow the sky, Hichu said. We'll talk about it later. Murong Yu was a little embarrassed. He didn't know if he would be so strong one day. Suddenly, Murong Yu saw that the floor under the golden corpse seemed to be a little different. Immediately, he went to the phoenix spear and gently poked it. It seems to be space-time. Could there be something below? Murong Yu's heart stirred. The spear used force and pried up the floor. Boom! The moment the floor was pried open, a dazzling golden light soared into the sky along with a rainbow light. Murong Yu, who was a little frightened, entered the Hichu Luoshu world with a whoosh. That speed, that reaction, it was really unprecedented. However, when Murong Yu appeared in the Hichu Luoshu world, He realized that he was a little too frightened. The golden light and the rainbow light didn't attack. With an embarrassed smile, Murong Yu's heart became active. Could these be the treasures used by the golden corpse when it was alive? Maybe there are some peerless skills or something. While thinking in his heart, Murong Yu had already left the Hichu Luoshu. However, in the process, he still activated the purple ribbon holy robe and immediately walked slowly toward the small hole. The golden light was dazzling and shot straight to the sky. In the dazzling golden light there was also a rainbow light. Specks of light scattered in all directions, illuminating the entire stone room with incomparable brightness. Murong Yu walked over carefully and found that there was indeed another world under the golden corpse. After preying open the floor, there was still a cave below. Murong Yu carefully walked down, only to find that there was also a stone room below. However, this stone room was much smaller than the stone room above. It was only a few meters in radius. And looking at this, it seemed to be carved by someone. The traces were very obvious. There were only 3 stone tables in the stone room and nothing else. On the 3 stone tables, there were things on 2 of the tables that were emitting endless golden light and rainbow light. The light seen in the stone room above was emitted by the things piled on the stone tables. I've picked up a treasure. Murong Yu's eyes narrowed as he looked at the glowing treasures on the table. On one of the tables, there was a neatly folded immortal robe that was emitting rainbow light. On the table next to it there was a huge golden bow. Next to the huge bow, there were 3 arrows lying there quietly. As for the 3rd stone table, there was only an inconspicuous jade slip on it. Chapter 75. Cosmos Bow, Heaven-Shaking Arrow. Suddenly, Hichu's voice sounded beside Murong Yu. Murong Yu turned his head to look, only to find that Hichu had actually appeared beside him. At this moment, he was looking at the huge golden bow in front of him with an excited expression. This time, Murong Yu was a little surprised. Hichu, this guy, usually did not come out of the Hichu Luoshu, but now he actually took the initiative to come out and was so excited. Looking at Hichu's excited look, Murong Yu was also excited. Cosmos Bow, Heaven-Shaking Arrow. Just hearing the name was already very domineering. Moreover, who was Hichu? He was the artifact spirit of the world's #1 strange book, Hichu Luoshu. Before Murong Yu, Hichu followed war god Zhao Yun to dominate the world. Whether it was knowledge or other aspects, he had an unparalleled advantage. Ordinary treasures, even if it was a divine artifact-level magic treasure, would not be able to make him so excited. One could imagine how extraordinary this Cosmos Bow was. Intuition told Murong Yu that he had really picked up a treasure this time. However, although these 2 idiots were excited, they also remained calm. Previously, Murong Yu was almost killed by the golden skeleton, which had already made them frightened. After a careful round of testing, the 2 of them finally confirmed that there were no powerful restrictions or formations protecting these treasures. That's right, the chaotic power here was so rich, even if the golden skeleton had set up a powerful restriction and formation, these formations would have collapsed long ago because there was no power to support them. Murong Yu and Hichu rushed up, circled around the stone table, and kept looking at the huge bow and heaven-shaking arrow. Hichu, what is the origin of the Cosmos Bow and Heaven-Shaking Arrow? Why are there words engraved on this arrow? Murong Yu clearly saw that the 3 arrows were engraved with the ancient characters of heaven, earth, and man. Perhaps he had already calmed down from the excitement of seeing the bow of heaven and earth for the first time. Hichu took a deep breath and said, "The bow of heaven and earth is one of the divine bows from the same era as Hichu Luoshu. The so-called Qiankuan was the yin and yang of heaven and earth. Did you see those 3 arrows? The name of the arrow is Heaven-Shaking Arrow. Shoot at the sky, shoot at the earth, shoot at people. Kill everything. It can't be that magical, right?" Murong Yu said in disbelief. "You mean to say that this divine bow can even shoot through the sky? It could even penetrate the earth?" Kill everyone? Strictly speaking, people don't just include humans. It includes all life, Hichu said with a solemn expression. Is it really that magical? Murong Yu maintained his doubts. I don't know either. I just heard about it. Moreover, not everyone had the ability to control the cosmos bow. Shoot at the sky, shoot at the earth, and shoot at people. Without a certain level of strength, I'm afraid it's impossible to do it. Murong Yu's eyes flashed and he said with a smile, Since I've encountered such a treasure, does that mean I'm the fated one? Maybe I can control the bow of heaven and earth. As he spoke, Murong Yu's mind was already filled with the image of himself holding the bow of heaven and earth. He would be invincible, killing immortals and killing immortals. Hichu slapped Murong Yu awake from his fantasy. He looked at Murong Yu with disdain and said, Under the heavens, there must be someone who can control the bow of heaven and earth. But that person is not you. Whether you can pick up the bow of heaven and earth is still a problem. Murong Yu didn't mind Hichu's attitude towards him. He just smiled and grabbed the bow of heaven and earth with his big hand. I don't believe that I can't even pick up a bow. However, before he could finish speaking, Murong Yu's face had already turned bitter. Although he grabbed the bow of heaven and earth, it was as heavy as a mountain and didn't move at all. Murong Yu's current situation was like an ant trying to shake a tree. Isn't this divine bow too heavy? Murong Yu was a little unconvinced. He immediately increased his strength to the limit. 29 extremely condensed coiled dragon shadows that were infinitely close to materialization leaped in the void above his head. Murong Yu shouted. The veins on his face bulged, and he looked ferocious and terrifying. Rise! He shouted and held the divine bow with both hands. He unleashed his strength to the limit and his entire body was surrounded by black gas. His strength exploded and he actually picked up the bow of heaven and earth. However, Murong Yu's veins bulged on his forehead. He could only pick up the bow of heaven and earth. What if he wanted to shoot an arrow? It was impossible. The bow of heaven and earth weighs 108,000 kilograms. The 3 heaven-shaking arrows each weigh 36,000 kilograms. They add up to the weight of the bow of heaven and earth, Hichu said from the side. Swoosh! The bow of heaven and earth disappeared from Murong Yu's hands. He had already kept it in the Hichu Luoshu world. Then, he also kept the 3 heaven-shaking arrows. 108,000 kilograms. Murong Yu was a little speechless. Who would be so bored as to make a bow so heavy? Even if it was just the weight, it would probably crush some cultivators to death. You kept it? Hichu stared at Murong Yu with his eyes wide open. Murong Yu smiled slightly. Of course. If I didn't keep it, would I leave it for others? Moreover, others can't enter this place at all. I even have a feeling that these treasures were left here just for me to come. Seeing Murong Yu's shameless look, Hichu was a little speechless. Although I can't shoot an arrow now, there will be a day when I can. Taking a step back, even if I can't use it, I can't leave it here. Otherwise, it would be taken away by others. Moreover, if it was taken away by my enemy, wouldn't I be very depressed? This is called killing the wrong person without letting them go. Who cares if I can use it or not, I'll get it first. Murong Yu said with a chuckle. He kept the bow of heaven and earth and the heaven-shaking arrows that he couldn't use in the Hichu Luoshu world. Then, Murong Yu looked at a stone table by the side. There was an immortal robe on the stone table. It emitted a rainbow light, illuminating the entire stone room. Murong Yu took the immortal robe. When he saw it, he was stunned. 8 trigrams immortal robe? Looking at the immortal robe that was emitting a rainbow light, Murong Yu was stunned. There were some ancient purple patterns on the immortal robe, but he couldn't see what it was. What made Murong Yu speechless was that there were some 8 trigrams patterns engraved on it. Perhaps this was the origin of the name 8 trigrams immortal robe. Feeling the powerful aura vaguely emitted from the 8 trigrams immortal robe, Murong Yu looked at Hichu and asked, This 8 trigrams immortal robe should be an immortal tool, right? Hichu nodded and continued, although the 8 trigrams immortal robe is not as famous as the bow of heaven and earth. But it's also a very powerful magic treasure. Other than having an unparalleled defense, it can also be invisible. Invisible? Murong-yu was shocked. Don't be so surprised. Although the 8 trigrams immortal robe can be invisible, it also depends on the caster's skill. If you're not strong, even if you can be invisible, you can't hide in front of an expert, Hichu said with a sneer. Murong-yu smiled embarrassedly. No matter what, this is still an immortal tool. It should be more powerful than the purple ribbon immortal robe, right? While speaking, Murong-yu had already put the 8 trigrams immortal robe into the Hichu Luoshu world. Among the 3 stone tables, there were the bow of heaven and earth, the heaven-shaking arrow, and the 8 trigrams immortal robe. The worst was the 8 trigrams immortal robe, which was an immortal tool. On the last table, there was an ordinary-looking jade slip. Murong-yu rubbed his hands and looked at the jade slip. He said excitedly, "Could it be that this jade slip recorded all the divine arts of the golden skeleton when it was alive?" As he spoke, he was about to pick up the jade slip on the table. However, he too was a step ahead of him and obtained the jade slip. Murong-yu only saw he too holding the jade slip in his hand. Then, he saw he too's lifeless face as he stood motionless in place. Seeing this, Murong-yu narrowed his eyes slightly. Hichu definitely didn't look like he was in danger. This was because although Hichu looked blank, there was also a trace of shock. However, this was a shock of surprise. If he wasn't in danger then, if this old guy Hichu was so shocked, then he must have encountered some treasure. Could it be that this was really the various divine arts of the golden skeleton? Murong-yu thought to himself. At that moment, he rushed forward and snatched the jade slip from Hichu's hand. Then, he impatiently probed it with his divine perception. There weren't any restrictions placed on the jade slip, so Murong-yu was able to easily probe it. In fact, there was nothing in the jade slip, only the simplest paragraph. Buddhist incantation of 9 words. Army character formula. A spell. A handprint. There was nothing else. Looking at this so-called army character formula, Murong-yu didn't find anything special. It could even be said that the army character formula was simply more ordinary than the most basic cultivation methods of the major sects in the cultivation world. What's there to be stunned about? Could it be that you saw something else? Murong-yu's divine sense withdrew from the jade strip and looked at the river diagram with a hesitant expression. There is only the army character formula in it. Hichu's eyes lit up and he still couldn't help but be excited. The army character formula is no big deal. What's so surprising about it? I think this cultivation method is even more ordinary than those most basic cultivation method. While speaking, Murong-yu was about to throw out the jade slip in the book. However, at this moment, he paused and then looked at Hichu in surprise and said, "That's not right. This jade slip is placed together with the bow of heaven and earth and the 8 trigrams immortal robe. It's just an ordinary cultivation method? It's at least at the same level as the bow of heaven and earth, right?" Speaking of this, Murong-yu probed it again with his divine perception. This time, Murong-yu looked at the army character formula seriously for a long time, and even the few words of the army character formula were deeply imprinted in his memory. However, Murong-yu still didn't find anything. Murong-yu, sometimes I have to say that you are really lucky. Not to mention the 8 trigrams immortal robe, you actually got the bow of heaven and earth. And now you even got the army character formula of the Buddhist incantation of 9 words. That's the army character formula. Hichu sighed. Chapter 76. Murong-yu did not speak and only looked at Hichu. After a long time, when Hichu finished sighing, he asked, "Hichu, what is the mystery of this army formula?" The army formula is one of the Taoist 9 words mantra. The 9 words mantra is the same as Hichu Luoshu, even more powerful than Hichu Luoshu. Legend has it that if someone can comprehend the 9 words mantra, then they can see through the secrets of this world and dominate everything. Murong Yu narrowed his eyes, looked at Hichu and asked in a deep voice, "Is that true?" The Taoist 9 words mantra is the supreme cultivation technique in the world of cultivation. Different from Hichu Luoshu, each word of the 9 words mantra has a section of technique. Each word has a corresponding hand seal. Each word has a different power. Some can increase speed, some can increase lifespan, and some can increase the power of one's offensive skills. Legend has it that if one obtains one word of the 9 words mantra, it is enough to run rampant in the world. If one can comprehend the 9 words mantra, then they can dominate everything in the world. Even the universe can be dominated. However, the Taoist 9 words mantra has always been like a legend. No one has ever been able to collect all of it, let alone comprehend all of it. Throughout history, the 9 words mantra would occasionally appear in the world. However, every time it appeared, it would shake the world, and blood would flow into rivers. Moreover, every time someone obtained the 9 words mantra, there was no one who did not have great achievements. They were truly invincible in the world. However, the 9 words mantra was too attractive to all the cultivators in the world. Although everyone who obtained the mantra had monstrous power. However, in the end, it would lead to a group of cultivators attacking them, and they would eventually fall. Every time they fell, the 9 words mantra would disappear without a trace. It was as if it completely disappeared with the death of the cultivator. Hichu followed Zhao Yun and fought for his whole life, but he had never heard of anyone obtaining the 9 words mantra. Even Zhao Yun did not have the opportunity to see the 9 words mantra. I've always thought that the 9 words mantra of Taoism was just a legend. I've never heard of it before, but now that I've seen it with my own eyes, I find it hard to believe. Hichu stood where he was, trying his best to calm himself down. However, it was clear that even the experienced and knowledgeable Hichu could not remain calm after seeing the supreme formula of the 9 words mantra. In fact, it wasn't just Hichu. Even if Zhao Yun was resurrected and saw one of the 9 words mantras, he would also be extremely excited. On the other hand, Murong Yu was not that excited. After the excitement passed, Murong Yu quickly regained his composure. This was because the 9 words mantra was too far away for him. He had never heard of it before. Most importantly, he had seen the incantation of the soldier character formula, but he did not find anything special about it. It was precisely because of this that he did not continue to be agitated. How do you know that the soldier character formula is not fake? Look at how excited you are. I really don't know what you're so excited about, Murong Yu said impatiently after looking at Hichu's excited expression for a long time. What do you know? Hichu stared at Murong Yu. Just as he was about to scold him, he laughed. As the saying goes, the ignorant are not guilty. The 9 words mantra should not have appeared in the cultivation world. Even in the immortal world, it was very likely to appear. It could only appear in the highest immortal world. However, it had now appeared in the cultivation world. Then, the authenticity of the soldier character formula was really up for debate. It's hard to tell if the soldier character formula is real or fake. If it's real, then why would it appear here? Then who was the golden skeleton when he was alive? Hichu pondered. If the soldier character formula is real, then the bow of cosmos and the 8 trigrams immortal robe are not small. But they are all concentrated on one person. Then, this person's identity, even in the immortal world, is at the level of a giant. However, such an existence died in the cultivation world. There must be something hidden behind it. Murong Yu, if you get the bow of cosmos, the 8 trigrams immortal robe, and the soldier character formula, I'm afraid it will cause endless trouble in the future. Murong Yu narrowed his eyes, thought for a moment, and said, treasures are owned by the virtuous. These treasures were found by me and obtained by me, which means they are destined to be with me. No matter what, I want these things. As for the golden skeleton, this is at least the existence of the immortal emperor. It's too far away from me, even if he was chased by his enemies and died here. It's none of my business. These treasures are now mine. Whoever dares to have ideas about my treasures is going against me, Murong Yu. Whoever dares to go against me is courting death. Murong Yu's eyes flashed, and an invincible aura erupted from his body, sweeping in all directions. Looking at the confident Murong Yu, Hichu's face showed a trace of surprise. Then he nodded secretly. However, if the golden skeleton couldn't resist the enemy, how could Murong Yu fight against it? Before you have absolute strength, it's better to use these treasures less. Otherwise, the enemies of the golden skeleton will be the top experts in the immortal world, and you won't be able to fight against them. Hichu warned. Murong Yu nodded, and his figure flashed, entering the Hichu Luoshu world together with Hichu. After comprehending the soldier character formula, one would have unparalleled speed in the world. In addition, there was life force that could prolong one's life and return to one's youth. The so-called moving as fast as a dart was the soldier character formula. In addition to these, each word of the 9 syllables mantra had a corresponding handprint. The corresponding handprint of the soldier character formula was the main offensive handprint, the Great Vajra Wheel Seal, and its power was extraordinary. In the Hichu Luoshu world, Murong Yu and Hichu stared at each other, then looked at the soldier character formula recorded in the jade slip. These two idiots had never seen the real 9 syllables mantra. In fact, in this world, there were only a few people who could see one of the 9 syllables mantra. At this time, Hichu had calmed down from the excitement of seeing the 9 syllables mantra. As a result, the two of them looked at each other. Why? It was because the soldier character formula didn't look special. Even Hichu couldn't tell if it was real or fake. Therefore, they only studied it here for a long time, and in the end, they still didn't know whether it was real or fake. After a long time, Hichu suddenly said to Murong Yu, "Murong Yu, you should cultivate." Murong Yu jumped up. "Why should I be the one to cultivate? Why can't you be the one cultivating?" Murong Yu pointed at Hichu with his finger, and almost scolded. "I don't know if this soldier character formula is real or fake. What if it's fake? What if I cultivate to the point of chi deviation? You're the weapon spirit, you should cultivate first. Even if you don't know it's fake, you won't lose anything." This time, it was Hichu's turn to jump up. "I think the soldier character formula is real. Of course, if it's fake, I'm afraid I'll be annihilated as soon as I cultivate. After I'm annihilated, Hichu Luoshu won't have a weapon spirit. Moreover, as long as I'm here, even if you go mad, I can protect you." If those almighty figures in the immortal realm or the god realm knew that these two idiots were blaming each other for the sake of the army character formula and didn't want to cultivate it, they would probably slap these two idiots to death. If it was anyone else, after obtaining the supreme soldier character formula, they would immediately cultivate it as if it was their own life. How could they be like these two people? However, on the other hand, it could only be said that these two people were magnanimous and wouldn't be easily affected by certain things. Moreover, after obtaining the soldier character formula, Murong Yu actually studied it with Hichu. Although Hichu was only the weapon spirit of Hichu Luoshu. This also showed that Murong Yu treated Hichu with sincerity. After a long time, Hichu suddenly said embarrassedly, I don't know if it's real or fake. It's better not to cultivate it." "Cultivate, if you want to cultivate, why don't you cultivate it? What if it's real?" Murong Yu narrowed his eyes, which were shining brightly. He had already made up his mind to cultivate the soldier character formula. It would prolong his life and possess unparalleled speed. Murong Yu's current speed couldn't keep up with his strength, which really made him feel embarrassed. now that he had the soldier character formula, how could he not cultivate it? Even if it was risky, so what? Cultivators were originally cultivating in defiance of the natural order. If he didn't take risks, he might as well go home and be an ordinary person for the rest of his life. However, if you find anything wrong with me, you have to stop me immediately. Before cultivating, Morongyu said to Hichu with a dignified expression. Don't worry, I won't let anything happen to you. Hichu promised solemnly. Immediately, they accelerated the time in Hichu Luoshu world by 5 times and began to cultivate the soldier character formula. The soldier character formula, which only had a few dozen words, was so ordinary, just like the most basic cultivation method of an ordinary immortal cultivation sect. No one knew that this was one of the supreme Taoist Buddhist incantations of 9 words. With the mentality that he'd rather believe it, Morongyu began to cultivate the soldier character formula. Morongyu had already memorized the incantation, which was only a few dozen words long ago. However, half a month had passed, but he still didn't succeed in cultivating it. Not only that, Morongyu couldn't feel that this was really one of the Buddhist incantations of 9 words. After half a month, even if it was an immortal cultivation method, he would have already succeeded in cultivating it. However, Morongyu didn't get anything. At this time, Morongyu once again doubted whether this soldier character formula was the real soldier character formula. Even Hichu advised Morongyu to stop cultivating. The golden skeleton must be a big shot when he was alive. If the Qianquan Bao and the 8 trigrams immortal robe were really left by him, then the soldier character formula here may be real. Otherwise, this person would never leave this formula. And what made Morongyu most determined to cultivate was the great Vajra Chakra seal. Morongyu didn't get anything from the soldier character formula. After cultivating for half a month, he didn't get anything. However, in this half a month, Morongyu succeeded in cultivating the great Vajra Chakra seal corresponding to the soldier character formula. Morongyu stood on the top of a mountain, with a solemn face. His hands quickly waved, forming a handprint. Then Morongyu shouted in a low voice, and the handprint was struck out by him. Chapter 77. Boom! A huge handprint appeared out of thin air in front of them. It was like a mountain entrenched in the void. It did not dissipate for a long time. Looking at the mountain-like great Vajra Chakra seal, Morongyu was a little depressed. Hichu, who was beside him, looked at the huge handprint in shock. This is the great Vajra Chakra seal? It's a pity that it only has the form but no power. Morongyu shook his head and smiled helplessly. This is the great Vajra Chakra seal. However, although I have successfully cultivated it, without the army word formula, it has no power at all. Although the huge great Vajra Chakra seal in the void looked majestic, it was just as the He too had said. It was just a facade. It had no power at all. Hichu stretched out his finger and hit the huge great Vajra Chakra seal from afar. The majestic great Vajra Chakra seal could not even withstand a single blow. With a poof, it broke apart and turned into an invisible force, returning to heaven and earth. Only by cultivating the army word formula can one drive the great Vajra Chakra seal. Morongyu shook his head and muttered to himself. Then, he sat down with his legs crossed and started cultivating again. Since the great Vajra Chakra seal was real, the army word formula was naturally real as well. Morongyu did not have any gains now, which meant that he had yet to master it. At this time, Morongyu's determined and stubborn side was fully displayed. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, half a year. This time, the cultivation lasted for half a year. For half a year, Morongyu sat on the peak of the mountain and did not move at all. Hichu just watched silently from the side, shaking his head and sighing. He did not know if it was because of Morongyu's perseverance or because he felt that Morongyu was too silly. Time passed slowly, and Morongyu had been sitting on the peak of the mountain for a year. Seeing Morong-yu sitting there motionlessly, Hichu was just about to walk over and ask Morong-yu to stop cultivating. This was because he too had also tried to cultivate the soldier character formula in the past year, but it was to no avail. The facts told Hichu that the so-called army character formula was absolutely fake. He had to wake up Morong-yu as soon as possible. Otherwise, if this continued, Morong-yu would definitely go berserk. Rumble. When Hichu was only a few meters away from Morong-yu, a black light suddenly erupted from Morong-yu's body. A torrent-like aura erupted from Morong-yu's body. It soared into the sky and swept out in all directions. Has he made a breakthrough or finally succeeded in cultivating the army character formula? Hichu was slightly stunned. Right at that moment, Morong-yu suddenly opened his eyes. With a sway of his body, he stood up. Great Vajra Chakra Seal. Morong-yu shouted. He quickly struck out the Great Vajra Chakra Seal. Rumble. A huge handprint as big as a mountain appeared above Morong-yu's head. However, unlike the previous Great Vajra Chakra imprint that only had a form but no power, this Great Vajra Chakra imprint was extremely solid. What shocked Hichu the most was that this Great Vajra Chakra seal actually emitted an aura that made his heart palpitate. This kid has really cultivated the army character formula. Hichu was shocked and somewhat happy. However, at this moment, he heard Morong-yu say, "Hichu, take my Great Vajra Chakra seal." As he spoke, Morong-yu's body flashed and disappeared from the spot. He appeared a few miles away. At the same time, the Great Vajra Chakra seal, which was as big as a mountain, carried a terrifying aura. It shattered the void like a sacred mountain and pressed down on Hichu violently. It seemed that this kid was using him to test his moves. Hichu sneered and his body suddenly soared into the sky. During this process, all the strength in his body condensed on his right fist. Then, his fist collided with the Great Vajra Chakra seal violently. Rumble. After an earth-shattering explosion, the Great Vajra Chakra seal was immediately shattered and turned into the original essence of the world and disappeared. On the other hand, he too let out a muffled groan as he was blasted away like a broken rag doll, and he fell a few dozen kilometers away. Rumble. Rumble. The terrifying impact tore the sky and the earth apart and swept out in all directions. Under such a terrifying impact, all the peaks within a radius of 10 miles were directly shattered. They were actually razed to the ground. Seeing the ferocity of the Great Vajra Chakra seal, Morong-yu was shocked. Hichu, who was far away, was also shocked. Although he was beaten to a pulp, his strength was still much stronger than Morong-yu's. However, Morong-yu only used the Great Vajra Chakra seal to send him flying and even injure him. Hichu flew back and said to Morong-yu, as expected of the 9 syllables mantra, "Its power is too terrifying." He could not hide the shock in his voice. Morong-yu stared blankly at the dozens of mountains that were razed to the ground. After hearing Hichu's words, he suddenly laughed out loud. Today, he finally had a very powerful attack method. It was even more powerful than the dragon-elephant prajna technique. In fact, the 9 syllables mantra of Taoism was a supreme existence. What cultivation method in the world could compare with it? He had finally cultivated the army formula. Morong-yu laughed loudly and continuously used the Great Vajra Chakra seal. All the mountains within a 10-mile radius were completely destroyed and razed to the ground. Hichu flew over and looked at Morong-yu with an excited expression. "Morong-yu, you finally succeeded in cultivating it? In other words, the army formula is real?" Looking at Hichu's excited expression, it seemed that he was even more excited than if he had succeeded in cultivating it himself. "Nonsense, otherwise how could I use the Great Vajra Chakra seal?" Morong-yu smiled and glared at Hichu. Hichu circled Morong-yu a few times and sized up Morong-yu with bright eyes. As soon as he looked at Morong-yu, he realized that there was a huge difference between Morong-yu and before. But what was the difference? For a moment, Hichu couldn't say. In addition to his strength being more powerful than before, although Murong Yu's current realm had not broken through to the revolving reflection realm, the strength of the dragon was still at the strength of 29 Panyu. It was just that his strength seemed to be more condensed. The aura on his body was several times stronger than before. Moreover, because of the army formula, the great Vajrachakra seal had an unparalleled attack power. It could be said that Murong Yu's current combat power was several times stronger than before he cultivated the army formula. He had become more and more powerful. After looking at Murong Yu for a long time, Hichu finally realized that Murong Yu was different. His aura is very long, his vitality is very strong and full of vitality. Generally speaking, the stronger one was, the further away one was from the end of the world, and the stronger the vitality. For example, Murong Yu had a lifespan of 3,000 years in the late stage of the Foundation establishment realm. This life force was very strong, just like a newborn sun, full of vitality. However, at this time, Murong Yu's vitality was more than twice as strong as before. Moreover, it was very obvious that his vitality was strong. Thinking that the army formula had the ability to increase one's vitality and prolong one's lifespan, Hichu's eyes suddenly lit up. He stared at Murong Yu and quickly asked, "Murong Yu, how much lifespan do you have?" Murong Yu was startled. He was a little carried away. He was just immersed in the excitement of successfully cultivating the army formula, and didn't check his specific situation. Hearing Hichu's inquiry, Murong Yu quickly closed his eyes and felt. It was like a vast ocean of life force. It was boundless and had a strong life force. Hichu just quietly looked at Murong Yu. Suddenly, Murong Yu fiercely opened his eyes, revealing a touch of shock and disbelief. "How is it?" Hichu quickly asked. 10,000 years of lifespan. I actually reached 10,000 years of lifespan. Murong Yu said in shock, his voice full of excitement. Your lifespan has tripled. Hichu was also shocked. Before cultivating the army formula, Murong Yu's lifespan had only reached 3,000 years, but now it had skyrocketed to 10,000 years. This army formula was really worthy of the Buddhist incantation of 9 words. The army formula is really amazing. Murong Yu was shocked. Hichu might not know about the army formula, but he was very clear about it. Now, instead of saying that he had successfully cultivated the army formula, in fact, Murong Yu had just comprehended and could cultivate the army formula. He hadn't even reached the initial level. Moreover, Murong Yu felt that although the army formula was only a few dozen words, it was enough. He could comprehend it for the rest of his life. He felt that the mystery of the army formula was worth a lifetime of study. Now, he understood what Hichu said. Even if he only obtained 1 word of the Buddhist incantation of 9 words, he would be invincible in the world. Murong Yu had this feeling. The army formula, only 1 word of the profound meaning, was enough for him to comprehend continuously until he comprehended the final profound meaning of the army formula. Even if I don't cultivate other cultivation methods, just by studying the army formula, I'm afraid that my future achievements will not be below teacher Zhao Yun's. If I can completely comprehend the army formula, I will definitely be invincible in the world. Murong Yu thought with his eyes shining. He didn't want to collect all of the Buddhist incantation of 9 words, because it was impossible. If he could obtain 1 word of the Buddhist incantation of 9 words, it would be a great opportunity. However, after he saw the power of the army formula, he naturally thought of the power of the other Buddhist incantations of 9 words. If I can collect all of the Buddhist incantations of 9 words and cultivate them, what effect will it have? Murong Yu was eager to do so. Just as Murong Yu's imagination was running wild, an extremely sharp sound of something tearing through the air rang out. It carried with it a frightening amount of power as it slashed down at Murong Yu. Murong Yu's heart skipped a beat. His body shook and he instantly retreated dozens of miles away. Take this! He too shouted in a low voice. Holding the flying sword of the spirit tool level, he chased after him like a shadow and attacked directly. Whoosh! 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 Murong Yu's figure swayed as he quickly dodged the attack. His speed was so fast that it was rarely seen before. It was dozens of times faster than before. Chapter 78. Hichu did not give up and continued to attack. Murong Yu used the army formula and moved as fast as a dart. He did not fight back and just kept dodging. This was the first time Murong Yu used the army formula, and his speed was very terrifying. However, at the beginning, his footwork was still a little rusty. Under the high-intensity attacks of the river diagram, his movement technique became more and more skillful. In the end, when he dodged Hichu's attacks, he still seemed to be at ease, as if he was taking a stroll. Be careful, I'm using the strength of the out-of-body stage. Hichu shouted, and a very powerful aura erupted from his body. At this moment, he suppressed his strength to the out-of-body stage. Whoosh! Out-of-body stage cultivators could already fly in the air. Whether it was speed or attack, they were much stronger than those in the Silent Soul stage. In a flash, Hichu had already rushed to the front of Murong Yu, and the long sword in his hand carried a terrifying aura like a stormy sea. Whoosh! Whoosh! Murong Yu was as fast as a dart and directly retreated 100 miles away. At the same time, he shouted and made a seal with both hands. The great Vajra Chakra seal appeared out of thin air, containing a terrifying aura that could suppress the world, and fiercely suppressed Hichu. Boom! Hichu turned his big hand and faced the sky with his sword, directly slashing on the great Vajra Chakra seal. After a loud noise, the great Vajra Chakra seal was directly smashed into powder. Hichu's attack also dissipated directly because of this. This was an out-of-body stage attack. In other words, Murong Yu's current combat strength was actually able to directly shake an out-of-body stage cultivator. It should be known that he was only in the late stage of Foundation Establishment stage. At the late stage of Foundation Establishment stage, he had a speed that even out-of-body stage cultivators could not do anything about, and a terrifying combat strength that could fight out-of-body stage cultivators. Murong Yu was getting stronger and stronger. Of course, this was because Hichu did not want to kill Murong Yu. If Murong Yu met a mortal enemy, would he still be so relaxed? That was unknown. However, there was no doubt about Murong Yu's strength. Boom! Hichu's body erupted with a powerful aura. His strength had been raised to the Severed Soul stage. The Severed Soul stage was a stage higher than the out-of-body stage. The gap between the two was like the gap between heaven and earth. A wave of terrifying aura swept over from the west like a raging wave, crazily trying to strangle Murong Yu. At this moment, Murong Yu felt as if he had sunk into a swamp, and it was difficult for him to move. Great Vajra Wheel Seal! Murong Yu shouted, raising his strength to the limit, and struck out a hand seal. The mountain-sized Great Vajra Wheel Seal carried with it a monstrous killing intent that collapsed the heavens and cracked the earth. It smashed through the sky and ruthlessly pressed down on Hichu. At the same time, Murong Yu used a mysterious footwork, and his body was like a fish, dodging left and right in the gaps of the sweeping power. However, how could the power of the Severed Soul stage be so easy to resist? Murong Yu's figure was in a mess. He couldn't rush out of the surrounding power at all. In just an instant, Murong Yu was completely drowned by the aura like a vast ocean. If it was an enemy, Murong Yu was afraid that he would be killed in such a short time. However, it was Hichu who attacked after all. Although there was the aura of the Severed Soul stage, there was no killing intent. Therefore, although the endless power had already enveloped Murong Yu, it did not hurt him. Break for me! Murong Yu, who was drowned by the power, was still struggling. Suddenly, Murong Yu roared and punched out. Then, an illusory figure soared into the sky from the boundless power. In addition, the great Vajrachakra seal that Murong-yu blasted out couldn't shake Hichu, who had the strength of the severed soul stage, and it was easily dispersed by him. In the void, Murong-yu stood between heaven and earth with a flash. Hichu appeared beside him. The two were suspended in the void out of thin air, looking at the picturesque landscape. However, no matter how he too looked at it, he felt that something was amiss. He looked around and found that the Hichu Luoshu world was still the same as before. At most, dozens of mountain peaks were raised to the ground. Hichu felt strange in his heart, and couldn't help but look at Murong-yu next to him. Looking at it this way, he finally realized that something was wrong. The next moment, Hichu said, "Murong-yu, you can fly with your body?" It turned out that although Murong-yu was suspended in the void at this time, he was not stepping on a flying sword or anything like that. Instead, he was suspended in the air with the power of his body. It should be known that this was a magical power after the out-of-body stage. After being reminded by Hichu, Murong-yu also reacted. He was a little surprised in his heart. This should be the credit of the soldier formula. In fact, Murong-yu was very surprised in his heart. The soldier formula had a corresponding set of mysterious footwork. Originally, Murong-yu was still worried that if he used the sword to fly, that set of footwork couldn't be used at all. Now, after successfully cultivating the soldier formula, he could fly in the air. Even if he was not in the out-of-body stage, he could fly with his body. This was his trump card. Murong-yu smiled slightly. With a thought, the phoenix spear appeared under his feet. The soldier formula has been cultivated. More than a year has passed. It's time to go out. At the same time, Murong-yu reappeared in the stone room. Time accelerated 5 times. A year had passed in the Hichu Luoshu world. Only 2 to 3 months had passed in the outside world. This time, Hichu did not come out with him. As a weapon spirit, especially a disabled one, he could not casually leave the Hichu Luoshu now. Murong-yu unfolded his body and left the stone room. He appeared in the hall outside through the passage. Then, he dived into another tunnel. The chaotic power was getting denser and denser. As Murong-yu went deeper and deeper, the chaotic power in the void was infinitely close to materialization. Finally, after Murong-yu went for half a day, the dense chaotic power still turned into mist. Seeing this scene, Murong-yu and Hichu were very excited. The denser the power, the more likely there was a spiritual vein in the depths of the passage. A chaotic spiritual vein. Rumble. Not long after, there was a huge sound, like the sound of flowing water, from the depths of the passage. Is there a big river in front of us? An underground river? Murong-yu was puzzled. So, he sped up and went forward. Swish. Murong-yu's heart jumped in fright when he suddenly missed a step. Fortunately, he reacted in time. His body rose into the air and floated in the void. At the same time, the purple ribbon immortal robe on his body shone with purple divine light, enveloping him. Holding the phoenix spear, the power in his body was raised to the limit. His divine thought swept in all directions like the sea. At the same time, Hichu Luoshu was released by him. It floated above his head and scattered light, enveloping him. This was a huge space. It was like a world of its own. Looking at the huge space in front of him, Murong-yu was stunned. He did not expect there to be another world behind the cave. This place was so huge that it was like a small world. However, what shocked Murong-yu wasn't the vastness of this space, but the black river beneath his feet, which was emitting a monstrous roar as it surged forward. The entire space was filled with black water mist. How could this be water mist? It was clearly the chaotic energy of water vaporized. The mist-like chaos energy was emitted from the surging river below. What a huge chaotic spiritual vein! Hichu suddenly appeared beside Murong-yu. Looking at the huge chaotic spiritual vein on the ground, he was very excited and shocked. This is a spiritual vein? This is clearly a large river with rapid currents. Murong-yu exclaimed in shock. Hichu nodded and said, "This huge river is not water. It is chaotic energy. If you can cultivate here, you will be able to achieve twice the results with half the effort." He could not see the source or the end. It was simply a huge river that stretched for God knows how long. Murong Yu was excited. This was the first time he saw a spiritual vein. Moreover, it was a rare chaotic spiritual vein. Compared to this spiritual vein, those so-called recovery pills and true elemental pills were nothing. If I can keep it in the Hichu Luoshu world, I will be rich. Murong Yu's eyes shone brightly. He actually wanted to keep the chaotic spiritual vein in the Hichu Luoshu world. That's a good idea. Unfortunately, with your strength, you won't be able to touch this chaotic spiritual vein. I think this spiritual vein is at least of the immortal level. Hichu said in a deep voice. Immortal level? Murong Yu looked at Hichu in confusion. Murong Yu's understanding of spiritual veins was limited. Spiritual veins are formed by a huge amount of energy of heaven and earth. The energy it contains is enormous. The lowest level of spiritual veins is called spiritual veins. Like the weapons above the spiritual weapon level, spiritual veins are also divided into 9 grades. The first grade is the lowest and contains the least amount of energy of heaven and earth. The 9th grade is the highest. Spiritual veins above the 9th grade are called immortal veins. Above the heavenly veins are the divine veins and the legendary heavenly veins. They are all divided into 9 grades. The chaotic spiritual vein is a very special kind of spiritual vein. I think the chaotic energy in this spiritual vein is at least of the immortal level. I see. Murong Yu nodded. Among them, the first grade spiritual vein is the easiest to collect. As long as you have a certain amount of strength, you can do it. However, spiritual veins are extremely rare. Ordinary people don't even know of their existence. Murong Yu inwardly nodded. Although the first grade spiritual vein contained the least amount of energy of heaven and earth, it was also the easiest to collect. However, it was at least a spiritual vein. In the cultivation world, even some small and medium-sized sects might not have a first-grade spiritual vein. Although spiritual veins are different from spiritual pills, they are also consumables. It would be a pity to only use them for cultivation. Murong Yu said. Chapter 79. Cultivating in a spirit vein? That's too extravagant. Hichu shook his head and continued. Generally speaking, spirit veins would be sealed under the sect and wouldn't be absorbed directly. That's because the heaven and earth origin energy released by the spirit vein is much denser than the outside world. Murong Yu's eyes flickered as he looked down at the chaos spiritual vein that resembled a torrential river. To others, the spirit vein was a taboo because it couldn't directly absorb the primal chaos energy. However, to Murong Yu, it was a boundless treasure. As long as he had this spirit vein, he would have limitless power. Hichu, can you keep this spirit vein in the Hichu Luoshu? Murong Yu looked at the spirit vein and was unwilling to give up. No. Hichu's answer was straightforward. Although I'm the spirit of the Hichu Luoshu, I've been beaten to a pulp. I can't even unleash 1,000,000,000,000 of my power at my peak. Otherwise, I can directly seal this spiritual vein into the Hitu and the Luoshu. After Zhao Yun died in battle, Hichu was almost beaten to death. Although he survived in the end, he was beaten to a pulp. After so many years of recovery, his strength was only at the spirit-severing stage. Murong Yu frowned. If Hichu couldn't take this spirit vein, he couldn't either. This spirit vein is in the Devil Mountain Forbidden Grounds. As long as it's in the cultivation world, no one can touch it. It's basically your private property. As long as you have the strength, you can come and go as you wish. It's no different from being in the Hichu Luoshu. Seeing Murong Yu's worried expression, Hichu couldn't help but say. Murong Yu nodded. He only felt that it was a pity. Since I can't take this spirit vein away, I won't waste it. Morong Yu chuckled. His figure flashed and turned into a ray of light, shooting directly into the spirit vein. Within the spirit vein, a huge amount of primal chaos energy had gathered into the shape of flowing water. After Morong Yu jumped into the river, the water gently washed over Morong Yu's body. Morong Yu took a deep breath. Immediately, an endless amount of primal chaos energy entered his body through every pore and circulated in his body. It was very comfortable. At this moment, Morong Yu finally felt the power of the spirit vein. Just by taking a breath, the energy in his body increased by a bit. Hichu, I will cultivate here. Once I break through to the revolving reflection stage, I will leave. After sending a voice transmission to He2, Morong Yu sat down cross-legged in the chaos spiritual vein and began cultivating. After successfully cultivating the army formula, Morong Yu's cultivation had reached the peak of the late foundation establishment stage. At this moment, as he cultivated in the spirit vein, the primal chaos energy was constantly being absorbed into Morong Yu's body and turned into his energy. As time passed, the energy in Morong Yu's body was constantly compressed and became more and more condensed. Finally, one day, when Morong Yu's physical body and strength had been refined to the pinnacle of his current realm, boom! Suddenly, Morong Yu's body trembled. He had been trying to break through the barrier of cultivation for 3 months. He finally broke through. The moment he broke through, a huge tribulation cloud appeared in the sky above the forbidden area of the Demon Mountain. Tribulation cloud, someone is going through tribulation. The moment the tribulation cloud appeared, the powerful monster kings in the depths of the Demon Mountain noticed it. For a moment they were very surprised. Who broke through to the late tribulation stage? Countless monster kings' faces changed slightly. This was because they saw that the tribulation cloud was formed in a place that was not within their territory. Since it was not their own people who were going through tribulation, it must be a monster from another force. In the Devil Mountain, there were countless demonic beast kings, and every demonic beast king had their own sphere of influence. They had countless monster kings under them. A monster who was in the tribulation stage was already a monster king. As for the late tribulation stage, once a monster king in the late tribulation stage successfully passed the tribulation, it would become a half-immortal existence and would definitely be able to ascend to the immortal world in the future. The appearance of every half-immortal monster king would increase the strength of the monster king's force. As for the nearby monster kings, they would probably lose a lot of their territories because of this, and they might even be forced to submit. After all, half-immortal monsters were few and far between in the depths of the Demon Mountain. Just like the fierce man who was going through tribulation earlier, his strength was enough to dominate the entire Demon Mountain. He was the monster king of the entire Demon Mountain. If such a powerful existence appeared, the other monster kings would have no place in the Demon Mountain. Therefore, when they saw the tribulation cloud in the sky, their faces changed. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Figures quickly swept across the sky and rushed towards the tribulation cloud. However, they quickly realized that the tribulation cloud was not in the territory of any monster king, but in the sky above the forbidden area. Someone was going through tribulation in the forbidden area. Could it be that there were monster kings in the forbidden area? And they had already reached the late tribulation stage? Many monster kings looked at each other, their faces full of worry. They did not suspect that the person who was going through tribulation was Morong Yu, who they had chased away previously. This was because in their hearts, Morong Yu was already dead. Moreover, even if Morong Yu was not dead, it was impossible for him to break through to the late tribulation stage in a year. What they did not know was that although Morong Yu did not cultivate to the late tribulation stage, the tribulation cloud was formed because of him. It was because Morong Yu broke through to the revolving reflection stage that the tribulation cloud was attracted. Demon Mountain's forbidden area, secret cave, chaos spiritual vein. Perhaps it had something to do with the chaos spiritual vein, or perhaps it was because it was deep underground. Although Morong Yu felt that the tribulation was about to descend, it did not descend. At this moment, Morong Yu had already rushed to the revolving reflection stage after breaking through. The power in his body had increased dramatically, and his physical body had also been strengthened. Suddenly, Morong Yu felt that there was some movement in his dantian. With a thought, his divine consciousness rushed into his dantian. The dantian was an extremely important existence for both secular martial artists and cultivators. This was because the dantian was the place to store power. Just as Morong Yu entered his dantian, he realized that his dantian, which was originally filled with black chaotic power, was now faintly shining with light. It was like the stars in the sky. This was something that he had never discovered before. When Morong Yu approached it, he was shocked to find that the glowing objects in his dantian seemed to be 9 lotus seeds. Yes, 9 black lotus seeds the size of a pinky finger were emitting a faint black light at this moment, as if they were stars. There were actually 9 black lotus seeds in his dantian. Morong Yu frowned, because he did not know how these 9 lotus seeds were formed. Lotus seeds in the dantian is a sign of the revolving reflection stage. Every cultivator who enters the revolving reflection stage will have similar lotus seeds in their dantian. But the average person only has 1 lotus seed, but I have 9. Morong Yu was nervous and quickly contacted Hichu. He told him about this and asked, 9 lotus seeds, there shouldn't be a problem, right? Ha ha ha. After hearing Morong Yu's words, Hichu did not say anything and only laughed. After a long time, he finally stopped under Morong Yu's murderous gaze. He looked at Morong Yu with a smile and said, Morong Yu, you don't need to panic. You should be happy that there are 9 lotus seeds in your dantian. You must know that the more lotus seeds you have, the greater your future achievements. Ordinary cultivators can only grow 1 lotus seed, but you have 9, you have reached the limit. Even your teacher Zhao Yun only had 7 lotus seeds back then. Really? Morong Yu looked at Hichu with some suspicion. This was related to his own safety and his future cultivation. He could not help but be cautious. Hichu nodded, indicating that it was absolutely true. 9 lotus seeds, that's the limit. Morong Yu, if you did not die halfway, your future achievements would be greater than your teacher's. Hichu said with a sigh. His heart was a little excited. Lotus seeds in the dantian was a sign of entering the revolving reflection stage. Once the lotus seeds germinated, grew, and bloomed, it was the fusion stage. At this time, the 9 black lotus seeds were like stars in the sky in the dantian, emitting a faint black light, constantly absorbing Morong Yu's power and nurturing. The day the lotus seeds germinated was the day Morong Yu broke through. Morong Yu looked at the 9 lotus seeds and sighed with some pity. He had to leave here. Although there was a chaos spiritual vein here, there was an endless amount of chaos energy. But the lotus seeds in the dantian needed a long time to germinate. This matter could not be rushed. Moreover, Morong Yu's body and meridians had reached the limit. He could not continue to accommodate more power. Hichu, is there really no way to take this spirit vein? Before leaving, Morong Yu asked again. No. Well, when I have enough power in the future, I will take this spirit vein. Morong Yu looked at the river-like chaos spiritual vein, then used the army word formula, turned into a stream of light, and disappeared. Boom! Just as Morong Yu stepped out of the cave, the tribulation lightning in the void struck directly. Good timing. Morong Yu was not surprised, but happy, because his body had already reached the level of a high-grade magic weapon. But it had not broken through to the level of a spiritual weapon, and this time, the tribulation lightning was just right to use it to temper his body. Moreover, he already had the experience of going through the tribulation, and now that his strength had skyrocketed, his body suddenly soared into the sky, and directly rushed into the tribulation lightning. Circulating his power, Murong Yu's body was surrounded by a black power, like a black silkworm cocoon enveloping him, and it was hard to see clearly. Boom! Murong Yu's body violently trembled. After a loud noise, 40 black coiling dragons appeared above his head and circled around him. Baring their fangs and brandishing their claws, they emitted an extremely powerful aura, which was very shocking. Chapter 80. In the revolving reflection stage, even if one was at the peak of the late revolving reflection stage, they would only have the power of 29 coiling dragons. However, Murong Yu had just stepped into the revolving reflection stage, and he already had the power of 40 coiling dragons. Murong Yu's strength was close to the peak of the late fusion stage. His strength was so strong that he could kill enemies above his level. The 40 coiling dragons seemed to materialize as they circled above Murong Yu's head, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. Under Murong Yu's control, the coiling dragons and his body were still bathed in the lightning. Rumble! Under the bombardment of the lightning, the coiling dragons above Murong Yu's head bore the brunt of the lightning. In the first moment, more than 10 coiling dragons were shattered. The remaining 20 or so coiling dragons were almost destroyed and looked extremely dim. As for Murong Yu's body, it was torn apart in a flash. This time, he did not use the purple ribbon immortal robe. Absorb! Murong Yu roared in his heart. He opened his profound heart and began to absorb the lightning with all his might. Crackle! Bursts of electric sparks bombarded Murong Yu's body. It made his body feel numb. He quickly absorbed the heavenly lightning to refine his physical body and the power in his body. After a round of lightning tribulation, Murong Yu was still floating in the air. However, the 40 silhouettes of the coiled dragon were directly scattered. Rumble! After healing the wounds on his body, Murong Yu once again used Heavenly Dragon's strength. In an instant, 41 Pan-Chi phantoms appeared in the void above his head. Yes, 41 coiling dragons. There was actually one more than before. Moreover, after being tempered by the lightning, these coiling dragons were even more condensed. It really works. Seeing that he had one more power of the dragon, Murong Yu was delighted. Before the second wave of heavenly lightning descended, he even brought out the phoenix spear of 100 Bird. The 100 birds facing the phoenix spear was the same as the river diagram. It was damaged, falling to the magical artifact level. Perhaps absorbing the power of the lightning tribulation could speed up his recovery. Rumble! Wave after wave of tribulation lightning struck down. The terrifying aura shocked the entire demon mountain. While the demonic beasts on the demonic mountain were in a state of shock, Murong Yu's strength grew stronger and stronger under the tempering of the heavenly lightning. The lightning tribulation of the revolving reflection stage was more than 10 times stronger than the foundation establishment stage. However, Murong Yu's strength was also more than 10 times stronger than when he had just broken through to the foundation establishment stage. Therefore, even though the heaven's thunder appeared to be very powerful and terrifying, it was not. However, he was unable to harm Murong Yu at all. On the contrary, the tribulation lightning was completely absorbed by Murong Yu. He treated it as a great supplement, and used it all to temper his body and increase his strength. The tribulation clouds had already dissipated, but Murong Yu was still sitting cross-legged on the mountain peak, motionless. He too came out of the He-Tu and Luo Shu and stood on top of another mountain peak. He looked at Murong Yu with a look of realization. Heavenly tribulation was fatal to any cultivator. The slightest carelessness would cause one's soul to scatter. Among them, most of the cultivators would find it difficult to successfully pass the tribulation. Of course, this was the 4 in 9 heavenly tribulation, which was much stronger than Murong Yu's current heavenly tribulation. However, Murong Yu's lightning tribulation was also very terrifying. If it was someone in the same realm, there was a high chance that they would be struck to death, unable to successfully pass the tribulation. The most important thing was that these heavenly tribulations would become stronger with Murong Yu's strength. Then, when Murong Yu reached the late stage of the crossing calamity stage, what would the 4 in 9 heavenly tribulation be like? Would it be 10 times stronger than an ordinary 4 in 9 heavenly tribulation? Dozens of times or hundreds of times? Or even more terrifying? However, Hichu knew that if every breakthrough was accompanied by a heavenly tribulation, Murong Yu's ability to resist the heavenly tribulation would become stronger and stronger. Moreover, the purpose of these heavenly tribulations was not to strike Murong Yu to death, but to temper Murong Yu's physical body and increase his strength. If this was really the case, then one day, when Murong Yu's strength stood at the peak of this world, how great would his achievements be? It was unimaginable. With the dissipation of the tribulation clouds, the gloomy mood of the beast kings in the Demon Mountain did not lighten up because of this. One by one, they stood outside the forbidden area, looking at each other. Someone was really transcending a tribulation in the forbidden area. As everyone knew, the forbidden area was the forbidden area for all the demonic beasts and the entire cultivation world. No one could go in. Even experts in the transformation stage could not. However, someone was transcending a tribulation now. Then, how could this person survive in there? And he was transcending a tribulation. Although they did not see any stairways to heaven or immortal gate, that person was indeed transcending a tribulation. How many people or demonic beasts were there in there? The forbidden area was a taboo for them, and they knew nothing about it. Because of their ignorance, they had a trace of fear about it. If there were many demonic beasts or human cultivators in there, and if they were all very powerful, then the beast kings would not be the only ones in the Demon Mountain. By then, there would be someone who was on equal footing with them, and even dominate the Demon Mountain. By then, there might be no place for them in the Demon Mountain. For a moment, many beast kings thought of this possibility. All along, the forbidden area has been a forbidden area. No one has ever dared to step in, and no one has transcended a tribulation. What's going on? Could it be that human cultivator from before? A beast king frowned. Impossible. That cultivator is only in the foundation establishment stage. How could he cultivate to the foundation establishment stage in just over a year? What a joke. A beast king sneered. We know nothing about the forbidden area. It's best to go in and investigate. Hearing this, all the beast kings fell silent. Although they were very powerful, no one dared to step into the forbidden area. Because the forbidden area would not give them a name just because they were the beast kings of the Demon Mountain, and would not kill them. This matter is very strange. We should discuss it carefully, a beast king said in a deep voice. Then, the beast kings nodded helplessly and left one after another. Putting aside the fact that the beast kings in the Demon Mountain were nervous, in the forbidden area of the Demon Mountain. Ever since the tribulation clouds dissipated, Murong Yu had been sitting cross-legged on the mountain peak. Demonic chi lingered around his body, and lightning flashed. In fact, after being tempered by the heavenly lightning this time, Murong Yu's power had become more condensed, and his high-grade magic artifact physical body had also reached the peak. Now, he was trying his best to break through the barrier of his physical body. Boom! After an unknown period of time, the lightning and demonic chi on the surface of Murong Yu's body suddenly disappeared into his body. Then, it exploded again like a raging wave. Rumble 49 extremely condensed Pan Chi shadows circled above Murong Yu's head. The black scales of the Pan Chi looked ferocious, and a vast aura was emitted, shaking the heavens and the earth. The sharp dragon claws bent and gently drew a line in the void. It was as if the void had been torn apart, and layers of water-like ripples were formed. Roar! Suddenly, the 49 Pan Chi let out a deafening dragon roar into the sky. It went straight to the sky, and the deafening dragon roar shook the nearby mountain peaks violently, as if there was an earthquake. The 49 Pan-Chi circled above Murong Yu's head, swimming rapidly, and their speed was getting faster and faster. Combine! Murong Yu abruptly yelled. In the void, the 49 fast-moving Pan-Wus roared and collided with each other. Finally, they condensed into a huge black Pan-Wus that was as big as a mountain. The mountain-sized black Pan-Chi let out a dragon roar into the sky, shaking the heavens and the earth. Finally, it opened its bloody mouth and swallowed Murong Yu directly. Hichu, who was on the other mountain peak, was shocked when he saw this scene, but he did not know what had happened. Just as he was about to make a move to save her, he stopped. Because he did not feel that Murong Yu was in danger. Murong Yu was swallowed by the mountain-like coiling dragon in a single gulp. However, the moment he was swallowed, the giant dragon that was the size of a mountain disappeared. The vast ocean-like power was swallowed by Murong Yu again, pouring into Murong Yu's body through every pore. Bang! At this moment, Murong Yu's body shook. A monstrous aura burst out from his body. Immediately, the mountain peak below him was shattered by the powerful force. At this moment, Murong Yu's body underwent another transformation. His aura became stronger, his vitality became longer, and his lifespan became more powerful. In particular, his physical body became more powerful. A Grade 1 spiritual weapon physical body. Murong Yu roared into the sky, and his voice was filled with excitement and joy. From now on, the world is big, and I can roam freely. Murong Yu laughed loudly. At the same time, 49 huge Pan-Chi dragons appeared above Murong Yu's head again. Moreover, after the 49 Pan-Chi appeared, there was an explosion in the void, and the 50th Pan-Chi also appeared. The early stage of cyclone reflection, the power of 50 Pan-Chi. The power of the dragon was close to that of a heart-stirring cultivator. In the periphery of Demon Mountain, many monster kings had already left. However, there were still many monster kings around, staring at the forbidden area. The changes in the forbidden area, and the fact that someone was going through a tribulation, made the monster kings in Demon Mountain nervous, and everyone was in a panic. Because they did not know the specific situation, they became more and more nervous. Moreover, none of them dared to step into the forbidden area, and they could only let their subordinates monitor outside the forbidden area. Murong Yu was standing on top of a mountain in the outer perimeter of the forbidden area. From afar, he could see countless demonic beasts. Seeing this, Murong Yu frowned and said, "Could it be that those people still haven't given up?" He thought that these people were still guarding outside the forbidden area because of the previous incident. More than a year had passed, and almost 2 years had passed. However, what Murong Yu did not know was that the people of Demon Mountain had already given up on the previous incident. The reason why there were so many monster kings was because Murong Yu was going through a tribulation in the forbidden area. How is it? Are we going to kill our way out? Hichu looked at Murong Yu with a smile. Murong Yu shook his head. What kind of joke was this? At a glance, there were monster kings whose cultivations he could not see through. Moreover, this was the depths of Demon Mountain. Chapter 81. Murong Yu shuddered in fear when he thought of Meng Nan's tribulation. Although he was much stronger than when he first entered the Demon Mountain, how could he be a match for those old demonic beasts who had cultivated for thousands or tens of thousands of years? Once those people were alerted, Murong Yu might not have the chance to return to the forbidden area. Moreover, Murong Yu had already obtained the Army Character Manual, Cosmos Bow, Sky-Shaking Arrow and 8 trigrams Immortal Robe. Although he could not bring the Chaos Spiritual Vein away, it could be said that there was nothing left in the forbidden area for Murong Yu to linger on. Since he could not bring the Chaos Spiritual Vein away, looking at it every day would only make him depressed. Therefore, Murong Yu decided to leave the Demon Mountain. Hichu, it's up to you now. Murong Yu glanced at Hichu and disappeared from the mountain peak. When he reappeared, he was already inside the Hichu Luoshu. The Hichu Luoshu turned into an invisible speck of dust. Then, under Murong Yu's control, it left the forbidden area and flew out of the Demon Mountain. Murong Yu took half a month to fly out of the 4 to 500,000 miles distance. Of course, this was because Murong Yu was very careful. Otherwise, if he flew at full speed, it would not take so much time. Chi. With a thought, Murong Yu came out of the Hichu Luoshu and landed on the ground outside the Demon Mountain. However, as soon as he appeared, a sharp killing intent shot toward him. A sharp sound came from behind Murong Yu. A stream of light was like a shooting star that carried endless killing intent, slashing towards Murong Yu's neck. Murong Yu squinted his eyes, and a trace of killing intent flashed past his brows. He turned around abruptly and threw a punch at the stream of light that was flying towards him. Bang! After a loud bang, the stream of light was smashed into pieces. Immediately, the fragments flew in all directions. It turned out that the streak of light was a flying sword. Puff! Just as the flying sword was smashed into pieces, a young man in the forest suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. When the flying sword was shattered, the mind of the master who was connected to the flying sword was immediately injured. Whoosh! 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 Almost at the same time, several figures rushed out of the forest and surrounded Murong Yu. Each and every one of them looked at Murong Yu with murderous intent. Their murderous intent spread throughout the forest. Murong Yu's eyes flashed with killing intent. These people really deserved to die. They actually dared to sneak attack him. Moreover, what infuriated Murong Yu the most was that he had appeared here out of nowhere due to a moment of carelessness. He was afraid that he had already aroused the suspicions of these people. If he allowed these people to leave, then the fact that he had a heavenly treasure would be revealed. At that time, there would be no place for him in the entire cultivation world. In addition, these people had sneakily attacked him. Just now, the person who attacked him was vicious and wanted to kill him. With all these factors, Murong Yu's killing intent had been aroused. He could not let any of these people go. Kill him for me. At this time, a young man with a pale face and a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth walked out of a hidden place. He looked at Murong Yu with hatred. This young man should be the one who released the flying sword to sneak attack him. Murong Yu glanced at him indifferently. He had already sentenced him to death in his heart. At the same time, Murong Yu looked around and found that the group of people surrounding him were all dressed the same. They should be disciples of the same sect. What surprised Murong Yu the most was that the people present were at least at the fusion stage. Among them, there was even a young master at the heartbeat stage. Of course, Murong Yu did not notice this. This was what Hichu had told him. Hearing the young man's words, the 6 fusion stage experts surrounding Murong Yu did not speak. They directly released their flying swords to strangle Murong Yu. The fusion stage cultivator had 6 magic tool grade flying swords of varying quality. Murong Yu sneered again and again, standing motionless in the same place. However, Murong Yu's appearance made the people on the young man's side mistakenly think that he was scared stiff. Clang! 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 Almost at the same time, the 6 magic tool grade flying swords carried a powerful force and bombarded Murong Yu's body. Just when the people on the young man's side thought that Murong Yu would be strangled into a cloud of blood mist, and just when they were feeling happy, their flying swords seemed to have cut a piece of divine iron, making a loud metal clashing sound. Murong Yu's clothes were torn into pieces, but Murong Yu did not turn into a cloud of blood mist. Instead, he still stood in the same place with a sneer on his face. From the torn clothes, the people on the young man's side even saw that Murong Yu did not have a single wound on his body. The place where the flying swords had strangled him only revealed a faint white mark. How is this possible? Seeing this scene, the crowd were all shocked. They were extremely shocked. On the other hand, the heartbeat stage expert's eyes shot out 2 terrifying rays of light as he stared at Murong Yu. At this time, Murong Yu opened his big hand and caught the 6 flying swords that had been bounced off. Then, the strength of 50 dragons burst out. Kacha, kacha, after a crisp sound, the 6 magic tool-grade flying swords were directly grabbed by Murong Yu and turned into a pile of scrap metal. Puff! The 6 cultivators at the fusion stage were mentally injured, and they spat out a mouthful of blood. Die for me! At this time, Murong Yu suddenly shouted. Using the soldier formula, he instantly rushed in front of a cultivator at the fusion stage and punched him fiercely. Bang! The speed of the soldier formula was unparalleled in the world. Murong Yu's strength of 50 dragons was much more powerful than that of a cultivator at the fusion stage. The cultivator at the fusion stage did not even have time to react before he was punched into a cloud of blood mist by Murong Yu's punch. Minced meat and blood splattered everywhere. It was very bloody. Bang! 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 After killing the cultivator at the fusion stage with one punch, Murong Yu's figure did not stop. Using the soldier formula, his speed was unparalleled in the world. After a series of loud muffled sounds, several clouds of blood mist rose into the sky. When Murong Yu stopped, the 6 cultivators at the fusion stage who had besieged Murong Yu had all been blown into pieces. None of them were a match for Murong Yu. Even in the face of the speed of the soldier formula and Murong Yu's powerful strength, these people were killed by Murong Yu before they could react. In fact, with Murong Yu's speed, even the masters at the out-of-body stage couldn't do anything, let alone these cultivators at the fusion stage. Moreover, because their flying swords were destroyed, their minds were injured. Then Murong Yu attacked with all his strength, and they had no time to react at all. After killing the 6 cultivators at the fusion stage in an instant, Murong Yu stood in the same place, looking at the young man and others indifferently. He spread out his divine sense and locked on to the young man and others. Seeing Murong Yu kill the 6 cultivators at the fusion stage at lightning speed, the young man and others were shocked. They had never seen such a terrifying speed. Moreover, Murong Yu's strength was too strong. He was only at the revolving reflection stage, but killing cultivators at the fusion stage was as easy as slaughtering dogs. A little foundation establishment stage cultivator dares to attack me. You are really courting death. Murong Yu looked at the young man with disdain and said coldly. Obviously, these people were led by this young man. Even the heart-stirring stage cultivator was the same. With a thought, Murong Yu guessed that this young man should be a descendant or disciple of one of the 10 great sections. The reason why he appeared in the periphery of the Demon Mountain was because the 10 great sects were training outside the Demon Mountain. Senior Brother Wang, quickly kill him. Being glanced at by Murong Yu's disdainful eyes, the young man suddenly flew into a rage. He turned to the heart-stirring stage cultivator who was protecting him and said with resentment. Wang Hong nodded and looked at Murong Yu indifferently. Then he said to the fusion stage cultivators beside him, "You guys protect Junior Brother Sunday. I will go kill him." As he spoke, Wang Hong stepped out of the crowd. The flying sword in his hand emitted a fierce, killing intent. His spiritual sense locked onto Murong Yu and was about to kill Murong Yu. Murong Yu only looked at Wang Hong indifferently. His eyes revealed a trace of excitement. His dragon strength had reached the strength of 50 heavenly dragons. It was the same as an early heart-stirring stage cultivator. And this Wang Hong should be in the middle heart-stirring stage. He should have around 50 heavenly dragons. However, this was what made Murong Yu excited. After all, fusion stage cultivators were no longer his match, and heart-stirring stage experts might be able to give him a fight. It is rare for a revolving reflection stage cultivator to have such a powerful battle strength like you. But today you will undoubtedly die. Wang Hong looked at Murong Yu indifferently and sneered. Chi. The flying sword in his hand turned into a sword light and strangled towards Murong Yu. A high-grade magic weapon flying sword? Murong Yu narrowed his eyes and sneered. His divine fist was like a mountain and fiercely blasted forward. Boom! After a loud explosion, the flying sword was directly sent flying. It actually didn't shatter into pieces. Murong-yu, on the other hand, was sent flying as if he had suffered a heavy blow. Heart-stirring stage cultivators were much stronger than fusion stage cultivators. Against a fusion stage cultivator's flying sword, Murong-yu could smash it into pieces with one punch. However, a heart-stirring stage cultivator was stronger than a fusion stage cultivator. After adding a powerful force to the flying sword, even Murong-yu couldn't shatter it. On the contrary, Murong-yu was sent flying. Chi! 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 Rays of sword light bloomed in the void. It was extremely dazzling but also carried a strong sense of danger. Rays of sword light tore the sky and split the earth. They quickly strangled Murong-yu from all directions. Murong-yu shouted in a low voice. The surface of his body was suddenly surrounded by a black chaotic force. With a flip of his hand, he grabbed the phoenix spear and began to fight with Wang Hong with the army formula. A flood dragon was enough to overturn rivers and seas. And how could the power of a Pan-Chi be dozens of times stronger than a flood dragon? The power of over 50 Pan-Yu exploded. Instantly, everything within a radius of over 10 miles was destroyed by the terrifying shockwave that spread out from their bodies. After a round of attacks, Murong-yu was immediately repelled. In front of the opponent's powerful strength, it was impossible to get close to Wang Hong. And although Wang Hong was much stronger than Murong-yu, it was difficult for him to hurt Murong-yu. Chapter 82. Boom! Murong-yu's body shook, and 50 extremely condensed black dragons appeared out of thin air above his head. The 50 almost materialized giant dragons kept roaring, emitting a terrifying dragon aura that shook the heavens and the earth. It was very frightening. The power of 50 dragons. Seeing this scene, Wang Hong was shocked. At this time, Murong-yu had already sent his flying sword flying with a spear strike. In the end, he used the army formula and quickly charged towards Wang Hong. Although Wang Hong was shocked, his reaction during the heartbeat stage was not to be underestimated. At the same time Murong-yu charged over, he also used Heavenly Dragon's strength. The power of 55 dragons. Compared to Murong-yu, he had 5 more strands of coiling sea's power. If he were to fight against an ordinary expert, 5 dragon strengths would be enough to suppress and kill the other party. However, Murong-yu was not an ordinary person. Die for me! Wang Hong shouted, and the power of 55 dragons surged into the high-grade magic artifact flying sword. Suddenly, the flying sword's power increased explosively, and with a swoosh it charged towards Murong-yu. Boom! Murong-yu stabbed out with his spear, but he was sent flying by the impact. The difference in strength of 5 coiling dragons was enough to send Murong-yu flying. Wang Hong's flying sword was like a shadow, and it went straight for Murong-yu's neck. Whoosh! Murong-yu used the army formula, and his speed was unparalleled in the world. Even though Wang Hong's flying sword's speed increased explosively, it could not catch up to Murong-yu. However, Murong-yu relied on his speed to continuously attack Wang Hong. In the end, Wang Hong was forced to withdraw his flying sword, and it circled around him. As long as Murong-yu charged over, the flying sword would be sent flying. No one could do anything to the other. Being sent flying once more, Murong-yu was somewhat enraged in his heart. He carried the phoenix spear on his back. Great Vajra Wheel Seal! Murong-yu bellowed, finally using his strongest move, the Great Vajra Wheel Seal. Rumble! The Great Vajra Wheel Seal, which was as huge as a mountain, appeared above everyone's heads. The huge seal formed by the chaotic energy was dark and gloomy. It was like a huge mountain that covered the sky. A monstrous and ancient aura that was like a stormy sea emanated out, intimidating the myriad of worlds. The heavens trembled and the mountains trembled. The momentum was heavy as 10,000 caddies. The moment the great Vajra Chakra seal was blasted out, the void seemed to really shatter. Wang Hong and the others, especially Wang Hong, were the first to bear the brunt. A boundless and terrifying aura was released, oppressing them to the point that they couldn't breathe. Great Vajra Wheel Seal, kill! Murong Yu bellowed, and the great Vajra Wheel Seal instantly shattered the void and the heavens. It rushed down and suppressed with incomparable ferocity. Wang Hong was shocked. He bellowed angrily, and his flying sword shot out a sword light that was tens of thousands of feet long. It quickly expanded and slashed at the great Vajra Wheel Seal that was suppressing down from the void. Feeling an intense sense of danger, the remaining few fusion stage cultivators, including the young man surnamed Sun, released another flying sword and slashed at the great Vajra Wheel Seal in the void. Rumble! The great Vajra Wheel Seal was extremely ferocious. It quickly pressed down and collided with Wang Hong's flying sword. Crack! After a crisp sound, Wang Hong's flying sword actually directly shattered. Then, the other cultivators also slashed at the great Vajra Wheel Seal. However, without exception, these flying swords couldn't shake the great Vajra Wheel Seal at all and were all smashed to pieces. However, the great Vajra Wheel Seal didn't seem to have any stagnation. It carried an incomparably terrifying force and pressed down. Rumble! After an earth-shattering explosion, the mountain-like great Vajra Wheel Seal flattened everything within a radius of a few miles. The few fusion stage cultivators couldn't escape at all and were directly smashed into clouds of blood mist. Whoosh! At the critical moment, Wang Hong turned into a stream of light and rushed out of the attack range of the great Vajra Wheel Seal with the young man in his arms. However, even so, Wang Hong spat out a mouthful of blood. He was affected by the aftershock of the great Vajra Wheel Seal's power and was severely injured. Murong Yu was a little surprised by this. However, he was just a little surprised. He bellowed and formed a seal with both hands. The great Vajra Wheel Seal appeared out of thin air again and locked onto Wang Hong and the young man. Junior brother Sun, hurry up and run. At this moment, Wang Hong was extremely resentful. Originally, he was considered a genius disciple in Yuan Su sect. He was only 1,000 years old, but he had already reached the heartbeat stage. The heartbeat stage already had a lifespan of 5,000 years. If there were no accidents, he would definitely be able to break through his current realm and reach the solitary spirit stage in the remaining 4,000 years. At that time, he would be able to become a core disciple of Yuan Su sect. However, as the saying goes, a man whose heart is not content is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. Wang Hong was not satisfied with his breakthrough speed. He pursued a higher realm and stronger strength. Therefore, he sought refuge with the sect master, hoping to be rewarded by the sect master and obtain more pills and magic treasures. However, he was only in the heartbeat stage. There were many powerful people in Yuan Su sect. In the eyes of the sect master, he was just an ant-like existence. The most important thing was that his talent was not outstanding. Therefore, after seeking refuge with the sect master for decades, there was still no effect. In the end, he used all kinds of methods to curry favor with the sect master's favorite grandson, Sun Yuan. This Sun Yuan was simply a piece of trash. He had cultivated for hundreds of years and had only broken through to the foundation establishment stage, but he was the favorite of Yuan Su sect master. All kinds of treasures were constantly given to him. Therefore, Wang Hong was rewarded with many things by Sun Yuan. This time, Wang Hong even volunteered to personally escort Wang Hong during the Fiend Mountain trial. In the Demon Mountain, relying on Wang Hong and the others' powerful strength, they could easily kill the Foundation establishment stage cultivators of other sections. In the end, they provoked Murong Yu, the god of death. Facing Murong Yu's great Vajra Chakra seal, Wang Hong had no intention of resisting. Although he was incomparably resentful, he still tried his best to protect Sun Yuan, even though he disdained Sun Yuan. Power gushed out from his palm, and Wang Hong directly threw Sun Yuan out. He turned around and raised the power in his body to the limit. The 55 coiling dragons in the void above his head exploded with terrifying power, attacking the great Vajra Chakra seal. However, the great Vajra Chakra seal could even injure the out-of-body stage Hichu. How could a mere heartbeat stage Wang Hong resist it? Moreover, when the great Vajra Chakra seal injured Hichu, Morong Yu was only in the foundation establishment stage. Now, he had already reached the revolving reflection stage, and his strength was close to that of a heartbeat stage cultivator. Boom! After an earth-shattering explosion, the great Vajra Chakra seal smashed down. Wang Hong and the two nearby mountains were shattered into pieces. After using the great Vajra Chakra seal twice in a row, Morong Yu's chi and blood surged a little. He found that the consumption was too great. After all, such a powerful killing move could not be used without limit. Of course, when Morong Yu became stronger in the future, there would be no limit. After killing Wang Hong, Morong Yu used the army formula, went deep into the phantom shadow, and quickly rushed up. At this moment, Sun Yuan was like a stray dog, stealthily skimming forward. However, his speed looked so ridiculous in front of Morong Yu. Whoosh! After a few breaths, Morong Yu caught up. His big hand reached out and grabbed Sun Yuan's neck. He lifted him up as if he was a little chick. Sun Yuan's face was pale with fright, his eyes were frightened, and his whole body was trembling. I am the most beloved grandson of Yuan Su sect's leader, you can't kill me. At the first moment, Sun Yuan brought out his backer, trying to make Morong Yu let him go. The grandson of Yuan Su sect's leader? Morong Yu frowned slightly and pondered. Seeing Morong Yu hesitate, Sun Yuan said happily, Yes, I am the most beloved grandson of the leader. If you let me go, today's matter will be over. We will definitely not pursue it. Moreover, as long as you let me go, I will give you a lot of magic weapons and pills. Humph! As long as you let me go, even if you escape to the ends of the earth, I will let my grandfather find you and burn your bones to ashes. You dare to kill me, you are courting death. While speaking, Sun Yuan's heart was full of resentment. The grandson of Yuan Su sect's leader, one of the top 10 sects? Are you threatening me? Morong Yu suddenly sneered. Humph, boy, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. If I die here, the elders of the sect will be the first to know. Although you are strong, you will die without a doubt. Let me go if you know what's good for you. Sun Yuan said angrily. It's not impossible to let you go, but I hate it when people threaten me. If I let you go, what if you bring people to trouble me in the future? The best way is… At this point, Morong Yu's eyebrows flashed with a cold killing intent. True inner force spurted out from his palm and directly killed Sun Yuan. Only a dead man will not expose my secret. Morong Yu sneered, threw away Sun Yuan's body, and disappeared in a flash. The Demon Mountain Trial was a common trial for the foundation establishment stage of the top 10 sects in the cultivation world. Every year, there would be such a trial for half a year. However, because someone went through a tribulation in the Demon Mountain last year, it caused a riot of monsters, and many disciples of the top 10 sects were killed or injured. Because of this, the Demon Mountain Trial this year was postponed for a few months. But in the end, the top 10 sects decided to continue the Demon Mountain Trial. This was because the Demon Mountain Trial was a way for the top 10 sects to gain experience and train their disciples. But the King of Monsters in the Demon Mountain never had such a plan. In fact, every year, many disciples of the top 10 sects and low-level monsters in the Demon Mountain would be killed or injured. However, the two of them still enjoyed it and never got tired of it. It was because of the experience. Gu Ning was an elder of Yuan Su sect, and her strength had reached the late stage of the combination realm. She was only one step away from the tribulation realm. With such strength, she could be considered a master in the cultivation world. Chapter 83. He was the leader of the Yuanshu school's disciples in the Demon Mountain this year. In the periphery of the Demon Mountain, the top 10 sects each occupied a mountain peak as their temporary base. In addition to the 2 elders who led the team, there were also masters from their respective sections. In a natural cave, Gu Ning was cultivating with her eyes closed, because he felt that in 10 years, he would be able to break through the last step and enter the crossing calamity stage. The tribulation stage was a watershed for cultivators. As long as a cultivator could reach the tribulation stage, he or she could build a body of immortality and ascend to immortality. If a cultivator failed to pass the tribulation, his or her soul would be destroyed. Therefore, many cultivators stopped at the tribulation stage, but they all wanted to reach the tribulation stage as soon as possible. At this moment, Gu Ning, who was cultivating, suddenly sensed that someone had triggered the restriction outside the cave. Someone broke in. Gu Ning abruptly opened her eyes. She was annoyed because her cultivation was interrupted. Master Gu, something bad happened to Sun Yuan. It was a disciple of the Yuanshu school who was in the spirit severing stage. He looked panicked. Hearing that, Gu Ning was displeased. She didn't like Sun Yuan, who was a playboy. Sun Yuan was a good-for-nothing. His grandfather was the head of the school, and he did whatever he wanted in the school. Gu Ning disdained him, but he didn't show it on his face. After all, Sun Yuan's grandfather was the head of the school. Is he dead? Gu Ning glanced at the disciple of the spirit severing stage coldly and asked in annoyance. Gu Ning had a grudge against Sun Yuan for leading the team this time. After all, he had a feeling that he was about to reach the tribulation stage. During this time, he should have stayed in the school to cultivate. However, at the start of the Demon Mountain trial, the sect leader had ordered him to come here with just one sentence. He didn't have time to cultivate, so his breakthrough was delayed. Most importantly, the purpose of the head of the school this time was to protect Sun Yuan, who was a playboy. Gu Ning was even more annoyed. Hearing Gu Ning's words, Yang Qingjun was surprised and looked at her with a strange expression. Seeing Yang Qingjun's strange expression, Gu Ning was annoyed and snorted. What's wrong? What happened to the playboy? Master Gu. Yang Qingjun swallowed and looked at Gu Ning with a strange expression. Sun Yuan is dead. It doesn't matter. How many people died in the trial this year? Gu Ning waved her hand and said carelessly. However, as soon as he finished speaking, he jumped up and grabbed Yang Qingjun with a shocked expression on his face. What? Sun Yuan is dead? Are you sure? Yang Qingjun felt suffocated. Although he was in the spirit-severing stage, he was still no match for Gu Ning, who was in the form synthesis stage. Yes, Sun Yuan is dead. His soul crystal has shattered, Yang Qingjun said with difficulty. At the same time, he opened his hand, revealing the shattered soul crystal. Sun's **SS. Who killed him? Gu Ning roared, and directly threw Yang Qingjun out. She was full of killing intent, and it filled the whole cave. He didn't care about Sun Yuan. Normally, even if Sun Yuan was dead, it had nothing to do with him. However, Sun Yuan was killed in the trial of the Demon Mountain. And he was the leader of the team this time. Before the trial of the Demon Mountain, the head of the Demon Mountain had told him to protect Sun Yuan. But now, Sun Yuan was dead. Gu Ning could imagine the anger of the head of the Demon Mountain. I'm doomed. I'm doomed this time. Gu Ning was upset. Who was the head of the Yuan Su sect? He was a half-immortal in the transformation stage. It was well known that the head of the Yuan Su sect was not only cruel, but also very protective. However, Sun Yuan was his most beloved grandson. Now, which bastard killed him? Didn't he have a master at the heartbeat stage by his side? Gu Ning was angry. She gave Yang Qingjun a cold glance, then rushed to the Demon Mountain. At the same time, the other masters of the Yuan Su sect also rushed to the Demon Mountain. Sun Yuan was killed here, and they all failed to protect him. Once Sun Pingxi got angry, they would be severely injured even if they survived. Following the smell left by Sun Yuan, they soon found Sun Yuan's body. The scene was a mess. Several peaks were directly razed to the ground. Except for Sun Yuan's body, which was still intact, they couldn't see the bodies of other disciples of the Yuan Su sect. All they saw were piles of meat paste and pools of blood. Gu Ning and the others were all in a bad mood. As soon as they saw the scene that was razed to the ground, they knew it was done by a master. None of the disciples of the major sects who participated in the trial had the ability to do so. Only the elders of the major sects and the masters who came with them could cause such great damage. Of course, there was another possibility, which was that a powerful monster in the Demon Mountain had done it. Who did it? Gu Ning was a little flustered. It was obviously a master, but why did he kill a cultivator in the foundation stage? Who killed my grandson? Right at this moment, a thunderous voice came from afar. A figure with a powerful and terrifying aura flew over from afar. It was still thousands of miles away from the Demon Mountain, but the horrible breath had already swept over like a stormy sea, which shocked everyone present. Gu Ning and the others were even more shocked, because they recognized the familiar voice. It was Sun Pingxi, the head of the Yuan Su sect. He was a half-immortal master who was very protective of his disciples. Sun Pingxi was very angry at this moment. His breath broke out like a stormy sea. Whoosh! With a flash, Sun Pingxi had already appeared in front of Gu Ning and the others. His breath broke out like a stormy sea. Gu Ning and the others were the first to bear the brunt. They were immediately overturned like a lonely boat in the raging sea. Puff, puff, puff. No matter the masters in the spirit-severing stage or the two elders in the form synthesis stage, they all spat out blood at once. They were also knocked away like broken pieces of cloth. It was just the breath that Sun Pingxi released unintentionally. If he deliberately targeted someone, even Gu Ning could be directly killed by him. This was the horror of a half-immortal master. In the form synthesis stage, even those in the tribulation stage couldn't withstand a single blow from a half-immortal master in the transformation stage. Sun Pingxi grabbed Sun Yuan's body in the air and pulled it over. Looking at his grandson's face, the anger in Sun Pingxi's heart became more and more terrifying. His whole body seemed to be burning with anger. Endless killing intent spread out, sweeping over the land. It was extremely terrifying. Who is it? Who is it? Sun Pingxi roared in anger, staring at Gu Ning and the others with killing intent. Gu Ning and the others were scared. They hurriedly stood up from the ground. Leader, it's... Gu Ning wanted to explain herself, but didn't know what to say. Gu Ning, do you know who killed Sun Yuan? Sun Pingxi stared at Gu Ning with killing intent. Sun Pingxi hadn't been so angry for a long time. Sun Yuan's death infuriated him. Although this Sun Yuan's performance was extremely trash, and his aptitude was extremely mediocre. However, it pleased Sun Pingxi very much. This time, Sun Pingxi originally didn't want him to undergo the Devil Mountain smelting trial. But in the end, he couldn't refuse Sun Yuan's request and agreed to let him undergo the Devil Mountain smelting trial. However, Sun Pingxi was not at ease. He arranged several fusion stage and heartbeat stage experts to protect Sun Yuan. These people were in the periphery of the Devil Mountain, so they would definitely not encounter any danger. In the end, Sun Pingxi reminded Gu Ning to protect Sun Yuan. During this process, Sun Pingxi had been staring at Sun Yuan's soul crystal. The moment Sun Yuan's soul crystal shattered, Sun Pingxi discovered it. Then, he rushed to the Demon Mountain as fast as he could. With his cultivation at the half-immortal realm, his speed was extremely terrifying. It didn't take long for him to arrive at the Devil Mountain. Then, the scene just now happened. A bunch of trash. Sun Pingxi was furious. He resisted the urge to kill them. He just looked at them coldly. Then, Sun Pingxi forced a drop of essence blood from Sun Yuan's dead body. Then, He moved his hands and made a hand gesture. Whoosh! All of a sudden, a vague image appeared in the air in front of them. If Murong Yu was here, he would probably exclaim after seeing the image. Although the image was a little blurry and there was no sound, it was clearly the scene of Murong Yu fighting with Sun Yuan and the others. In the end, the image completely disappeared the moment Sun Yuan died. This magical power used the essence blood of the people who were present at the scene to reconstruct the scene. It was a magical power that only half-immortals could use. They are Xushenzong's people. Although the image was a little blurry, Gu Ning and the others recognized the clothes of the other party at first glance. Furthermore, he was able to recognize Murong Yu's appearance by 70 to 80%. Xushenzong. Sun Pingxi was full of killing intent. In the image, Murong Yu's performance was actually nothing special. He only had the strength of 50 Pan Liang. In other words, he was in the heartbeat stage. However, Sun Pingxi's eyes lit up when he saw Murong Yu's Great King Kong chakra print. This print was really powerful. When did Xushenzong have such a powerful kung fu? He had never heard of it before. He is in the heartbeat stage, but he has such a terrifying speed and such a powerful print. If I can get the kung fu of this print, Sun Pingxi sneered. Search for this person. You must catch him alive. Gu Ning and the others secretly wiped the cold sweat on their foreheads and agreed at once. They thought that Sun Pingxi only wanted to avenge Sun Yuan. Chapter 84. In fact, in addition to avenging Sun Yuan, Sun Pingxi was also thinking about Murong Yu's army character formula. After all, the unparalleled speed and great Vajra wheel seal were both cultivation techniques in the army character formula. Xushenzong was led by Elder Lin Zhilong and another Elder Qian Jiangshan. Elder Feng Ningbo didn't lead the team this time because his grandson died in the Demon Mountain trial. Just now, when Sun Pingxi released the aura of a half-immortal, many people far away in the periphery of the Demon Mountain felt this terrifying aura. At this time, Lin Zhilong and Qian Jiangshan were discussing which half-immortal expert had come here. Their keen senses told them that something big must have happened during this Devil Mountain trials. Swish. At this time, several figures teleported over. Lin Zhilong and Qian Jiangshan were almost shocked. Looking carefully, Lin Zhilong and Qian Jiangshan were shocked. The person who came was Sun Pingxi, the leader of Yuan Su sect. Although the two didn't have any relationship with him, he was still the leader of a sect. The two quickly stood up and saluted. Humph, Xushenzong is simply too presumptuous. You actually allowed your disciples to kill my grandson. How should you be punished? Sun Pingxi looked at Lin Zhilong indifferently. His murderous aura filled the air. Lin Zhilong and Qian Jiangshan were shocked. They looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. Sun Pingxi's narrow-mindedness and vindictiveness were well known in the cultivation world. If someone from Xushenzong really killed his grandson with Sun Pingxi's character, this matter wouldn't be settled peacefully. Death and injury are inevitable in the Demon Mountain trial. Whether your grandson was killed by my people or not, there is no evidence. I hope sect leader's son won't frame me, Xushenzong. Lin Zhilong said in a deep voice. So what if it was Xushenzong's disciples who killed his grandson? Yuan Su sect had killed a lot of Xushenzong's disciples. Usually, when this kind of thing happened, the major sects would just turn a blind eye. But now, Sun Yuan was investigating this matter, which made Lin Zhilong and Qian Jiangshan very dissatisfied. Humph, the evidence is conclusive. Why would I accuse you? As he spoke, Sun Pingxi waved his hand, and the scene of Murong Yu killing Sun Yuan reappeared. Seeing this scene, Lin Zhilong and Li Qie fell silent. The clothes that Murong Yu wore that day were Xushenzong's. However, so what if this was the case? As everyone knows, the Devil Mountain's trial is only for Foundation Establishment disciples. There will definitely not be people of a higher realm entering. It was clear that this person had the power of 50 Pan Liang and was clearly a cultivator in the heartbeat realm. In this year's Devil Mountain trial, there is no such person in our sect. Qian Jiangshan said coldly. Oh. Are you saying that the person is pretending to be Zhishanzang's disciple? Sun Pingxi said with a sneer. In that case, I hope that you Zhishanzang won't get involved in this matter. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Sun Pingxi coldly dropped these words and disappeared in a flash. After Sun Pingxi left, Lin Zhilong and Qian Jiangshan looked at each other and saw the doubt in each other's eyes. Elder Lin, what do you think about this matter? Qian Jiangshan said in a deep voice. Lin Zhilong pondered for a moment and said, in this Devil Mountain trial, all of our Zhishanzang's disciples are Foundation Establishment disciples. Although that Heartbeat Realm disciple was wearing Zhishanzang's clothes, he shouldn't be one of our Zhishanzang's people. Qian Jiangshan frowned. This matter is over just like that? I keep feeling that something is wrong. Even if Sun Yuan was killed, it is normal for the Devil Mountain trial. Sun Pingxi's reaction is too big. At this point, the two of them let out a sigh. Although the two of them were powerful and had already reached the body integration stage, they were far from being a match for Sun Pingxi, who was at the half-immortal realm. In front of Sun Pingxi, they didn't even speak. Just now, Sun Pingxi looked at them as if they were ants, making them feel helpless. Inform the sect. We can't let this matter go. In the following time, under Sun Pingxi's instructions, the cultivators of the Yuanshu sect began to search for Murong Yu's traces in the periphery of the Devil Mountain. Gu Ning and the others, even Sun Pingxi himself, began to search the periphery of the Devil Mountain with their powerful divine thoughts. The Devil Mountain was a very special place. Here, anyone's divine thoughts would be greatly suppressed. Therefore, even Sun Pingxi, who was at the half-immortal realm, could only cover a range of tens of miles with his divine thoughts. The periphery of the Devil Mountain was hundreds of thousands of miles. Even if Sun Pingxi wanted to search this place with his divine thoughts, it would take a long time. Moreover, in the range of the Devil Mountain, all means would be suppressed. For example, Sun Pingxi was at the half-immortal realm. Since he loved Sun Yuan so much, why didn't he leave any means on Sun Yuan? If it was outside the Devil Mountain, although Murong Yu's strength was powerful, however, it wouldn't be easy to kill Sun Yuan. Therefore, Sun Yuan had a strand of Sun Pingxi's divine thoughts attached to him. When Sun Yuan was attacked, this strand of divine thoughts would come out to take the attack. With Murong Yu's strength, it was a little difficult to destroy this strand of divine thoughts. However, on the Devil Mountain, such means were useless. Therefore, Sun Yuan was easily killed. After Sun Yuan was killed, the strand of divine thoughts that Sun Pingxi had left on him naturally dissipated. Because of this, Sun Pingxi used his essence and blood to reconstruct the scene at that time. Strong people at the half-immortal realm could already teleport. Sun Pingxi extended his divine thoughts to the maximum range, and kept teleporting to search for Murong Yu. However, Murong Yu seemed to have disappeared from the world. Sun Pingxi had already searched thousands of miles around where Sun Yuan was killed, but still did not find Murong Yu. Human cultivator, how dare you trespass on the Devil Mountain? When Sun Pingxi teleported to the top of a mountain, a thunderous voice sounded in his ears. In the next moment, the void distorted, and a figure appeared on the mountain peak opposite Sun Pingxi, looking at him with a cold expression. Transformation stage, half-immortal realm cultivator. Human, why did you trespass on the Devil Mountain? The person who came was a middle-aged man. If Murong Yu was here, he would have cried out in shock. The middle-aged man was none other than the fierce man who went through the tribulation that year. Sun Pingxi looked coldly at the fierce man, but he was shocked in his heart. He knew that he would attract the attention of the strong beast kings if he entered the Devil Mountain. However, he did not expect that he would provoke the Devil Mountain Lord. The Devil Mountain Lord was also the master of the Devil Mountain. Of course, this was not a single person's Devil Mountain. The so-called Devil Mountain Lord was only the king of the Beast Kings in the Devil Mountain, and he controlled all the beasts. Once the fierce man ascended to the immortal realm, the Devil Mountain Lord would be inherited by another person. The role of the Devil Mountain Lord was not only to control all the beasts in the Devil Mountain, but also to intimidate the human cultivators. Lord of Demon Mountain, I did not come here to do anything detrimental to Demon Mountain. I just want to find a human cultivator. Even though he was the sect master of Primal Void Sect, an expert at the half-immortal stage, had to admit defeat before the Lord of Demon Mountain. He couldn't help but refuse to admit defeat. One must know that every generation's Devil Mountain Lord was extremely powerful. Moreover, there were many demonic beasts of the half-immortal realm within the Devil Mountain. This wasn't something that a mere half-immortal realm cultivator like him could contend against. The beasts in the Devil Mountain cannot leave the Devil Mountain, but human cultivators above the tribulation passing stage cannot take half a step into the Devil Mountain. Violators will be killed without mercy. Leave immediately or I will personally invite you out. The Devil Mountain Lord looked at Sun Pingxi and said indifferently. Sun Pingxi was furious, and his face revealed a trace of anger as he looked at the Devil Mountain Lord. He was the sect master of one of the 10 great sects, a half-immortal realm existence. In the cultivation world, who did not dare to give him face? Didn't that person respectfully call him senior when he saw him? Even the sect masters of other sects would talk to him as equals, so why would they be so rude? What if I don't leave? Sun Pingxi's face turned cold. He had already successfully passed the tribulation a few hundred years ago and stepped into the transformation stage. And the Devil Mountain Lord had only passed the tribulation for less than 2 years. Sun Pingxi was confident that his strength was definitely stronger than the Devil Mountain Lord. Even though he had an immortal body, he was much stronger than the Devil Mountain Lord. So what if the Devil Mountain Lord broke open half of the immortal door? Since you don't want to leave, then I can only make you leave. As he spoke, a terrifying aura burst out from the Devil Mountain Lord. He suddenly stretched out his hand, tearing through space and time, and grabbing at Sun Pingxi. Sun Pingxi snorted coldly and punched out, smashing into the Devil Mountain Lord's hand. Rumble! After an earth-shattering explosion, the huge mountain peak that Sun Pingxi was on was directly pulverized by the terrifying impact of their attacks, leveling it to the ground. As for Sun Pingxi, he was unable to withstand the Devil Mountain Lord's powerful strength, and was directly smashed into the ground. On the contrary, the Devil Mountain Lord's tall figure was still standing on the mountain peak, and the mountain peak under his feet did not even tremble. Nor was it smashed into pieces. The difference in strength was obvious. The Devil Mountain Lord was able to suppress Sun Pingxi, who was also a transformation stage half-immortal. You are courting death. Sun Pingxi roared and smashed the ground. He rushed up, turning into a stream of light, and pounced towards the Devil Mountain Lord. The Devil Mountain Lord stood alone, and stretched out his hand, smashing Sun Pingxi deep into the ground again. A dignified half-immortal realm expert was actually not a match for the Devil Mountain Master. The disparity was simply too great. In reality, it was not that Sun Pingxi was too weak, but the Devil Mountain Lord was too strong. With such strength, he was definitely the #1 person in the cultivation world. Devil Mountain Lord, you are too much. After being slapped into the ground by the Devil Mountain Lord twice in a row, Sun Pingxi was infuriated. With a furious roar, he smashed the ground and rushed up again. His aura was like the sea, like raging waves. The terrifying aura caused the void to distort, and even the void was torn apart. The furious Sun Pingxi's aura rippled, and endless power swept out. It was very frightening. Above his head there were a total of 80 horned dragon shadows. Chapter 85. The Horned Dragon was the strongest dragon below the immortal realm. Although it wasn't considered a true dragon, it was extremely powerful. Generally speaking, The half-immortal realm had the strength of 99 horned dragons at most. Once a horned dragon transformed into a winged dragon, the winged dragon was already a true dragon. Once a horned dragon transformed into a winged dragon, it meant that the cultivator had stepped into the immortal realm and was ranked among the immortals. The strength of 80 horned dragons was considered a powerhouse even among the half-immortal realm experts. However, even so, Sun Pingxi wasn't a match for the Devil Mountain Lord. Seeing that Sun Pingxi was unwilling to give up and wanted to kill him again and again, the Devil Mountain Lord frowned. The Devil Mountain Lord couldn't help but frown. The fury in Sun Pingxi's heart was enough to burn the entire sky. Humiliation, a great humiliation! He wasn't a match for the Devil Mountain Lord and was slapped deep into the ground. This feeling of being an ant made him extremely unhappy and hadn't appeared for many years. He was the sect master of one of the 10 great sects, a half-immortal realm existence. Usually, he was high and mighty, who didn't respectfully call him senior when they saw him. However, today, he was repeatedly slapped deep into the ground like a fly. The furious Sun Pingxi's eyes were red and his entire body was almost ignited by the fury in his chest. Raising his strength to the limit, he took out a spirit artifact flying sword and turned into a stream of light as he charged at the Devil Mountain Lord. The sword light wreaked havoc, splitting the sky and splitting the earth. The huge sword light seemed to split the sky in half, shattering the void as it slashed at the Devil Mountain Lord. The Devil Mountain Lord frowned and pointed with a finger. The black finger expanded with the wind and instantly became several 100 feet long. Then, the finger pointed at the terrifying sword light. Bang! After an earth-shattering explosion, the sword ray that was filled with shocking killing intent, which even split the sky in half, shattered. The Devil Mountain Lord's huge finger only stopped. At this moment, the Devil Mountain Lord opened his hand and grabbed at the void. The huge hand emitting endless black light was like a mountain descending from the sky. It covered the sky and the sun as it grabbed at an incomparably fast speed. Sun Pingxi was shocked to see the Devil Mountain Master shatter the sword beam that he had unleashed with all his strength with a single finger. However, before he could react, he saw the Demon Mountain Master's huge hand grabbing at him. Sun Pingxi was shocked. With a thought, Sun Pingxi teleported away. However, the moment he teleported, the Demon Mountain Master's hand, which was the size of a mountain, had already reached down. The huge hand grabbed the 80 silhouettes of horned dragons hovering above Sun Pingxi's head. Then, the Devil Mountain Master clenched his fist, bang! The phantoms of the 80 horned dragons were shattered. Sun Pingxi let out a blood-curdling scream, and his body, which had just teleported, fell out of the void. The Devil Mountain Lord's hand rapidly shrunk and grabbed forward. The moment Sun Pingxi fell out of the void, he grabbed him by the neck and lifted him up like a chicken. A dignified sect leader of one of the 10 great sects, an existence of half-immortal realm, was unexpectedly lifted up like a chicken by someone. What a great humiliation! Sun Pingxi felt his vision turn black, and there was a sweet taste in his throat as he spat out a mouthful of blood. It wasn't the Devil Mountain Master who secretly killed him, but he was angered. If news of this were to spread, his position as sect leader would be over, and he wouldn't be able to survive in the cultivation world anymore. Devil Mountain Master, you've gone too far. I'll fight it out with you. Sun Pingxi roared with a malevolent expression as he struggled. However, his strength had already been sealed by the Devil Mountain Master. No matter how he struggled, it was useless. Puff! Sun Pingxi glared at the Devil Mountain Master with a venomous expression as he spat out blood. He wished he could eat him alive. The Devil Mountain Master's move was too ruthless. This was simply a humiliation to Sun Pingxi. The Devil Mountain Master glanced at Sun Pingxi indifferently without any expression in his eyes. There was only coldness, a coldness that made one's heart palpitate. When he met the Devil Mountain Master's gaze, Sun Pingxi's heart instantly turned cold, and a chill rose from the depths of his heart. At this moment, he finally woke up from his boundless rage. This was the Devil Mountain Master, a master who killed without batting an eyelid. Moreover, the Devil Mountain didn't fear his Yuan Su sect at all. It could even be said that the Devil Mountain didn't fear the entire cultivation world, because as long as the demonic beasts of the Devil Mountain didn't leave the mountain, even immortal cultivators couldn't do anything to them. Because of this, it wasn't a big deal for the Devil Mountain Master to kill him, the sect leader of Yuan Su sect. Our Devil Mountain has an agreement with you humans. We demonic beasts can't leave the Devil Mountain, but you humans can't take half a step into the Devil Mountain either. Not only did you enter the Devil Mountain, but you also went on a rampage. I can totally kill you. The Devil Mountain Master said coldly. Sun Pingshi's heart was sweating, and a trace of fear flashed across the depths of his eyes. A mere half-immortal cultivator dares to cause a ruckus here. Do you believe that I won't uproot your sect? The Devil Mountain Master seemed to be talking to Sun Pingshi, but he also seemed to be talking to himself. Our Devil Mountain has been silent for too long. The cultivation world has already forgotten about our existence. The Devil Mountain Master looked into the distance and suddenly sighed. However, Sun Pingshi's heart jumped in fright. If the Devil Mountain Master said this, could it be that the demonic beasts of the Devil Mountain were about to be born again? If that was the case, then it would be a disaster for the cultivation world. Scram, leave the Devil Mountain immediately, or I'll kill you without mercy. The Devil Mountain Master glanced at Sun Pingshi indifferently, then his figure flashed and disappeared. When the Devil Mountain Master left, Sun Pingshi's strength had already recovered. However, he didn't dare to stop and quickly teleported away from the Devil Mountain. The Devil Mountain Master was simply too terrifying. He had passed his tribulation for less than 2 years and already had such terrifying strength. He had to send the news of the Devil Mountain Master or the demonic beasts of the Devil Mountain back to the cultivation world. Moreover, he was truly afraid of the Devil Mountain Master. Facing such an expert who could control his life at will, Sun Pingshi felt like an ant. It wasn't a good feeling. Moreover, most importantly, he didn't want to die. 2 half-immortal experts were fighting. As a half-immortal expert who had been famous for a long time, and also the sect master of Yuan Su sect, Sun Pingshi was like an ant in front of the Devil Mountain Master, unable to withstand a single blow. In the end, he left the Devil Mountain dejectedly like a dog that had lost its home. However, no one else knew about the battle between the 2 experts. This was because even though they were fighting, their powers were suppressed in the vicinity. Moreover, the Devil Mountain Master was simply too powerful. The battle that happened actually ended in an instant. The cause of all this was Murong-Yu. The battle between the 2 half-immortal experts was also because of Murong-Yu. However, where was Murong-Yu now? In fact, Murong-Yu, the person involved, had already left the Devil Mountain. After killing Sun Yuan, Hichu had a premonition that something like this would happen. Therefore, Murong-Yu left the Devil Mountain with the fastest speed. At this moment, they were already over 10,000 miles away from the Devil Mountain. Yuan Su sect. After Sun Pingshi returned like a dog that had lost its home, the first thing he did wasn't to inform the experts of the sect about the Devil Mountain Master. Instead, he issued a warrant for Murong-Yu. Of course, he didn't know who Murong-Yu was, nor did he know what Murong-Yu's name was. The warrant only had a blurry image of Murong-Yu attached. 1 million recovery pills. When the news came out, the entire cultivation world was in an uproar. Who was this unknown person? Yuan Su sect actually used 1 million recovery pills to arrest him? Then, the news of Murong-Yu killing Sun Yuan was revealed. At this moment, everyone finally understood why Sun Pingshi would spend so much effort to arrest Murong-Yu with 1 million recovery pills. However, with no name and only a blurry image, it was easier said than done to find a cultivator in the vast cultivation world. After this, a piece of news came out, which shook the upper echelons of the cultivation world. Fiend Mountain Lord was very strong. Although he had only transcended the tribulation for less than 2 years, he was still very strong. Although he had only been a half-immortal for a few hundred years, Sun Pingxi wasn't the Devil Mountain Master's opponent. Moreover, the most important thing was that the Devil Mountain Master's intention was that the Devil Mountain's demonic beasts were about to come into being. This was a big matter for the entire cultivation world. If the Devil Mountain's demonic beasts really came into being, it would be a catastrophe. At that time, the human cultivators would definitely clash with the demonic beast. Blood would flow like a river and the war would never end. Of course, this news was only known to the upper echelons of the various sections. If it was sent out, the entire cultivation world would definitely be in a state of panic. Ancient Spring City was a medium-sized city in the cultivation world. Different from the secular world cities, this city was filled with cultivators. This was a city of transactions. The so-called city of transactions meant that this was a city of commerce. In Ancient Spring City, there were a large number of shops, auction houses, and all kinds of related hotels. In Ancient Spring City, one could even set up stalls to make it convenient for cultivators to trade all kinds of goods. This place was the same as the secular world cities. It was just that the people here were all cultivators. Although Ancient Spring City was only a medium-sized city, it was one of the more famous cities in the cultivation world. This was because it was the closest city to the Devil Mountain in the cultivation world. Although the Devil Mountain was notorious for its infamy, it produced many precious heavenly treasures, and even the inner cores of demonic beasts. Other than the Foundation establishment stage disciples of the top 10 sects who would go to the outermost area of the Devil Mountain to train every year, there were many cultivators in the cultivation world who entered the Devil Mountain to adventure. They would kill demonic beasts and obtain their inner cores. Or they would look for all kinds of precious medicinal herbs. However, most people did not need these things. Therefore, when they found out about these things, they would want to trade for things they needed. Therefore, Ancient Spring City was born as a response. In fact, there were many cultivation cities similar to Ancient Spring City in the cultivation world. Chapter 86. After Murong Yu paid a certain amount of energy recovery pills, he finally entered the Ancient Spring City. As soon as he entered, Murong Yu was shocked by the prosperity of the city. Cultivators came and went. There were all kinds of shops on both sides of the street, such as weapon manuals, elixir stores, and so on. There was also no lack of restaurants and inns. This was Murong Yu's first time in a city of the cultivation world. He looked here and there, as if he was a person from the depths of a mountain who was entering a city for the first time. The prosperity of this place shocked Murong Yu, but what made him a little unhappy was that not long after he entered the city, he was being watched. Murong Yu's divine thought was very sharp. He found that there was always someone watching him from behind. Although Murong Yu had found the 2 people who were watching him, the 2 people did not realize that Murong Yu had found out about their existence. Unintentionally, Murong Yu entered a secluded alleyway. With a flash of his body, he disappeared from where he stood. Whoosh! Whoosh! Not long after Murong Yu's figure disappeared, 2 figures rushed into the alley. They were 2 young men. One was in the fusion stage, and the other was in the heartbeat stage. Their strength was not bad. That guy is gone. After entering the alley, the fusion stage cultivator found that Murong Yu had disappeared and said in surprise. The heartbeat stage cultivator's face became serious. The other party had suddenly disappeared. It was obvious that the other party had found out about them. Junior brother, I'm afraid that person has found us. It's better to be careful. The heartbeat stage cultivator said in a serious voice. Are you looking for me? A voice came, and a stream of light quickly jumped from the side. With a burst of sword light, a human head flew high into the air, and blood spurted high into the air like a fountain. Boom! The heartbeat stage cultivator instantly burst out with his maximum strength. 51 coiled dragon shadows hovered above his head. Then, he took a step forward and threw a punch at the person who had just arrived. Sword light burst out, and a blinding sword ray tore through the void, slashing at the young man's huge fist. The tremendous force sent the young man flying. Rumble! The young man smashed into the house next to him, shattering it. With a flash of his body, Morong-yu used the troop formula and chased after him like a shadow. The sword light exploded, about to kill the young man. Stop! Suddenly, a loud shout rang out and a monstrous hand emerged from the void to crush the sword beam that Morong-yu had unleashed. A monstrous aura spread from afar. In the next moment, a figure appeared in front of Morong-yu and the heart-stirring stage cultivator. Be careful, this is a spirit-severing expert. A middle-aged man stood between Morong-yu and the heart-stirring cultivator. He was very powerful. Hichu immediately saw through the other party's cultivation and said to Morong-yu with a serious expression. A spirit-severing stage cultivator was considered a master in the cultivation world. Hichu had just recovered to the spirit-severing stage. Although Morong-yu was powerful, he was definitely not a match for a spirit-severing stage cultivator. After all, there was a gap of 5 realms between them. Morong-yu frowned slightly and looked at the middle-aged man with a gloomy face. When he was about to speak, the middle-aged man said indifferently, "Ancient Spring City forbids any fighting. Anyone who violates this rule will be killed without mercy." As he spoke, the middle-aged man coldly stared at Morong-yu with eyes brimming with killing intent. He clearly thought that Morong-yu took the initiative to kill someone and blamed Morong-yu. In fact, it was Morong-yu who took the initiative to kill someone. But was it only because of himself? The middle-aged man didn't ask for the reason and immediately blamed Morong-yu without any reason. This made Morong-yu feel extremely displeased. At the same time, his face became gloomier. On the other side, the heartbeat stage cultivator was shocked. Morong-yu was only at the revolving reflection stage, and he had already seen it. However, Morong-yu's methods just now had killed his fusion stage junior brother with a single slash and nearly killed him. He was a heartbeat stage cultivator, which was 2 realms stronger than Morong-yu. But he couldn't even withstand a single blow, which made him wonder if this person was the person in the bounty. With a cold snort, Morong-yu glanced coldly at the middle-aged man and the heartbeat stage cultivator, then turned around and was about to leave. Stop! At this moment, the heartbeat stage cultivator took a step forward and shouted at Morong-yu with murderous intent. "You killed my junior brother and destroyed the house here, and you just want to leave?" Jiedong looked at Morong-yu indifferently with a face full of killing intent. When he saw the attitude of the middle-aged man, Wei Xian, one of the captains of the ancient Spring City Guards, Jiedong was secretly happy. He knew that Wei Xian was not interested in Morong-yu. Therefore, when Morong-yu was about to leave, he would never let the other party leave so easily. Morong-yu stopped and turned to look at Jiedong. The corner of his mouth overflowed with a sneer. "Who do you think you are? A fox pretending to be a tiger? If I want to kill you, there will be no place for you in the world." Jiedong was startled at first, then he flew into a rage. "Are you threatening me? I am in ancient Spring City. If you have the ability, come and kill me." Jiedong was now fearless. Even if he was not Morong-yu's opponent, so what? If Morong-yu dared to make a move here, Wei Xian would never sit back and watch. Sure enough, after hearing Morong-yu's words, Wei Xian's brows wrinkled slightly and his face showed a trace of displeasure. This Morong-yu really didn't know what he was talking about. Did he really dare to make a move in ancient Spring City? However, even if he didn't like Morong-yu, as the captain of the ancient Spring City Guards, he couldn't do anything. After all, his duty was only to maintain the safety of ancient Spring City. Unless Morong-yu made a move again, he absolutely couldn't make a move. Idiot! Morong-yu sneered and looked at Jiedong. Since ancient Spring City has a rule that I can't make a move, I naturally won't make an exception for a group of trash like you. However, if you want to die, I will wait for you outside the East Gate City." As he spoke, Morong-yu suddenly rose into the air, and then used the Phoenix Spear. He turned into a stream of light and flew out of the East Gate of ancient Spring City. Wei Xian's eyes flashed and he snorted coldly. His figure flickered and disappeared. Outside the East Gate? Shi Jiedong sneered and then quickly disappeared. Morong-yu's speed was very fast. It didn't take long for him to leave ancient Spring City and finally appear on a barren mountain. The reason why he asked Shi Jiedong out was that he felt that something was strange. Wasn't it strange to be followed inexplicably? He had to get to the bottom of this. It didn't take long for several figures to fly over from the direction of ancient Spring City. The figures were like streams of light and quickly landed on the barren mountain near Morong-yu. They immediately surrounded Morong-yu. It was Shi Jiedong and the others. Looking at this scene, Morong-yu just sneered in his heart. More than a dozen people, wearing the same clothes, were obviously from the same sect. Among them, in addition to Shi Jiedong who kept sneering at him, there were 3 experts in the heartbeat stage. The rest were all cultivators in the fusion stage. 4 experts in the heartbeat stage. If it was before Morong-yu entered the Demon Mountain and met so many experts in the heartbeat stage, he would turn around and leave without saying a word. But now? He just sneered again and again, not putting the other party in his eyes. Is it this kid? Only in the revolving reflection stage? A young man looked at Morong-yu and frowned as he turned to look at Shi Jiedong and said unhappily, "Although this kid is only in the revolving reflection stage, he killed junior apprentice Brother Ren with 1 sword and I was almost no match for him. Moreover, he is the same person as the person on the wanted list. If he is that person, as long as we take him down, we will get 1,000,000 recovery pills. That's 1,000,000. Shi Jiedong said with his eyes shining. Even if it's not that person, since he dared to kill our green light sex people, he must die. Another heartbeat stage cultivator said coldly. Hearing this, Morong-yu vaguely understood. It seemed that someone was looking for him, and he was worth 1,000,000 recovery pills. Only 1,000,000 recovery pills. Morong-yu was somewhat disdainful. He felt that he was worth far more than this. However, these idiots from the Green Light sect wanted to take him down for 1,000,000 recovery pills, which really made Morong-yu unhappy. In fact, Morong-yu didn't care much about these pills. He didn't know the value of the recovery pills in the cultivation world. 1,000,000 recovery pills, for the top 10 sects, was perhaps just a drop in the ocean. But for a small sect like the Green Light sect, it was an astronomical figure. Therefore, when Jiedong found out that Morong-yu had entered the ancient Spring City, he found that he was the same person on the Yuan Su sect's wanted list. Therefore, the things that happened later happened. Want to take me down to exchange for the recovery pills? Go get it from the underworld. Morong-yu sneered, then used the soldier formula and instantly disappeared from where he stood. A spear shadow flashed, followed by a cloud of blood mist blooming in the void, followed by a scream. A fusion stage disciple of the Green Light sect was smashed into a cloud of blood mist by Morong-yu's spear. Bang! After killing the fusion stage cultivator of the Green Light sect, his body swayed. The black spear in his hand swept out like a divine dragon. After an explosion, a nearby fusion stage cultivator was killed by Morong-yu before he could react. You're courting death. It was not until this time that the people of the Green Light sect reacted. After a furious roar, they immediately released flying swords one by one and slashed at Morong-yu. For a moment, the sword light swept across the void, and the sword chi was everywhere. Thousands of sword chi sealed the void like a spider web and strangled Morong-yu's head. Morong-yu sneered and activated the purple ribbon holy robe at once. Suddenly, a circle of purple light rose from his body and enveloped his whole body. Chapter 87. At the same time, Murong Yu let out a low roar and his body shook violently. Suddenly, 50 black and extremely condensed coiled dragon shadows appeared out of thin air above his head. Originally, each of Murong Yu's dragon shadows was almost the size of a mountain. However, at this time, his coiled dragon shadows were only as thick as a bucket. This was not because of the regression of his strength. On the contrary, when the 50 coiled dragon shadows appeared, a vast aura was released, and it was several times stronger than before. This was due to the fact that Murong Yu's energy had been compressed even more. Although the dragon shadows were smaller, their power was multiplied. The long spear shook, and it was as if the power of the 50 coiled dragons was concentrated on the long spear in his hand. In that instant, the phoenix spear exploded with a towering aura. It was like a churning, roaring black dragon. Dark godly demon Pan Rua. Murong Yu suddenly roared as he stomped on the ground, creating a few bottomless cracks in the ground. His whole body borrowed the force and bounced into the distance. At this time, the long spear erupted with an even more terrifying aura. With a fierce burst, the spear pierced toward the sky, as if it was going to pierce through the firmament. At this moment, something strange happened. Following Murong Yu's angry roar, the spear pierced the sky at the same time. 2 gigantic figures that looked like demons appeared near the long spear. 1 black and 1 gold, 2 incomparably tall shadows, and at the same time emitted an incomparably powerful and terrifying aura. The 2 figures were very tall, and their bodies emitted a powerful aura. Dark godly demon Pan Rua. Could these 2 figures be the demon god shadows? Originally, the 2 shadows had their eyes closed, but at the same time Murong Yu pierced the sky at the same time. The demon god's shadows suddenly opened their eyes, and then the 2 punched the sky at the same time. Boom! A terrifying aura suddenly erupted, and the void was suddenly torn open with a huge crack that was a few miles wide. Bang! 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 At the moment the demon god's shadows attacked, the flying swords that the green light sect's disciples had summoned were all shattered without exception. Puff! The flying swords were shattered, and everyone immediately vomited blood. At this moment, the figures of the 2 gods and demons disappeared into the void after the heaven-shattering punch. Murong Yu, on the other hand, soared into the air and rushed out of the encirclement. Actually, after saying so much, all of this happened in an instant. 10,000 swords art. Murong Yu stepped on the army formula and soared into the air. At the moment when the flying swords of many disciples of the Green Light sect were destroyed, Murong Yu patted the storage bag at his waist and took out 2 flying swords of the lower-grade magic tool level that he had received from the sect. Whoosh! 2 streaks of sword light burst out and instantly shattered countless spacetime. They quickly pierced through the bodies of the 2 disciples of the Green Light sect, bringing out 2 stunning flowers of blood. The 2 fusion stage cultivators of the Green Light sect didn't even have time to react before their hearts were pierced and they died. After killing the 2 fusion stage cultivators, the 2 flying swords once again flew towards the 2 Green Light sect disciples. Die! However, this time, the disciples of the Green Light sect had already reacted. The 4 heart-stirring stage cultivators attacked at the same time. The incomparably violent power suddenly blasted the 2 flying swords away. However, at this time, Murong Yu had already swooped down like a goshawk pouncing on its prey. The long spear in his hand carried a terrifying aura that could shatter heaven and earth. It shattered the void and transformed into millions of spear shadows, enveloping the disciples of the Green Light sect and piercing down. Boom! The disciples of the Green Light sect attacked with all their might and attacked the void with their strongest power. They wanted to shatter Murong Yu's attack and kill Murong Yu. After an earth-shattering explosion, the power of the 2 sides fiercely collided. The terrifying impact of the explosion immediately shattered the few hills under their feet. With so many people added together, it was a battle of hundreds of Pan Wu. What was a Pan Wu? It was the Dragon Clan. The power of one dragon was enough to overturn rivers and seas, let alone hundreds of them. Therefore, when their power collided, the hills within a radius of more than 10 miles were instantly shattered. Even the void was torn apart and a terrifying huge crack was formed. At the same time when the ground was shattered, the few fusion stage cultivators of the Green Light sect were also shattered into a cloud of blood mist. The 4 heart-stirring stage cultivators were slightly better off, but they were also sent flying while vomiting blood. As for Murong-yu, who had taken the attack of everyone from the Green Light sect, even if he was powerful and had a strong physical body, he could still be shattered. However, the purple ribbon holy robe on his body blocked most of the attack for him. Whoosh! Murong-yu was directly blasted into the sky. The terrifying power shook Murong-yu's chi and blood in his body churned, and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. His right hand that was holding the spear was even numb from the shock, and the phoenix spear was almost sent flying. However, the purple ribbon holy robe had blocked most of the attack for him. Otherwise, he would have been killed. At this time, although he had suffered some minor injuries, it was not a big deal. "Die, you bastards of the Green Light sect!" Murong-yu shouted, and his whole body turned into a stream of light and rushed down quickly. During this process, the long spear vibrated, pierced the sky, and locked on to Shi Jiedong to kill him. Shi Jiedong spat out a mouthful of blood, and a few of his meridians were also broken. His power was in chaos and his strength dropped sharply. At this time, he suddenly saw that Murong-yu had locked on to him and was strangling him. He was so scared that his face turned pale. However, Murong-yu wouldn't show any mercy just because he was frightened. These people wanted to take him down to get the 1 million recovery pills. Poof! With a stab of the spear, Shi Jiedong was immediately turned into a cloud of blood mist. Go! Seeing how fierce Murong-yu was, the other disciples of the Green Light sect were scared out of their wit. With a loud shout, the remaining 3 heart-stirring stage cultivators turned into streaks of light and fled towards ancient Spring City. "Where do you think you're going?" Murong-yu shouted coldly and chased after them. He used the army formula and was as fast as lightning. He caught up with the last one and smashed him into pieces with a stab of the spear. The speed of the army formula was unparalleled in the world. Even though the remaining 2 heart-stirring stage cultivators of the Green Light sect tried their best to escape, they still could not escape from Murong-yu's pursuit. Murong-yu executed the troop formula and chased after him like a bolt of lightning. He killed 2 people in a row. At this time, the last heart-stirring stage cultivator had rushed to the east gate of ancient Spring City. As long as he rushed into ancient Spring City, he could save his life. This was because Murong-yu did not dare to kill people in ancient Spring City. Even if Murong-yu dared to kill people in ancient Spring City, the experts in the guards of ancient Spring City would not allow Murong-yu to do so. As long as he escaped into ancient Spring City, he could naturally kill Murong-yu in the future. Fang Xinan gritted his teeth and said. However, Murong-yu did not stop and continued to chase after him. "Where do you think you're going?" How could Murong-yu not know what Fang Xinan was thinking when he saw him? With a loud shout, the 2 flying swords turned into 2 shocking sword rays. They tore through many things and shattered time and space, strangling Fang Xinan with incomparable speed. He felt the terrifying killing intent coming from behind him. Fang Xinan was shocked. If he did not turn around to block, he would be cut into pieces by the flying swords even if he escaped into ancient Spring City. He had to block it. With a furious roar, he threw a backhand punch at the flying sword that was flying towards him. 53 Pan-chi shadows circled above his head, looking extremely ferocious. "Dark godly demon Prajna!" At this time, Murong-yu suddenly shouted. The black spear in his hand burst out with divine light and the 2 godly demon shadows appeared around the divine spear again. At this time, the spear that was infused with all of Murong-yu's power was thrown out by Murong-yu. Chi, the sharp sound of the spear piercing through the air rang out far and wide. It was so sharp that it pierced one's eardrums. The spear seemed to pierce through endless time and space, shattering the void and appearing behind Fang Xinan in an instant. At this time, Fang Xinan had just shattered Murong Yu's 2 flying swords with a punch. He then used the tremendous force of the flying swords to charge into ancient Spring City. However, at this time, a terrifying aura that made Fang Xinan's heart tremble and made his soul tremble locked onto him and rushed over. Fang Xinan was shocked. He didn't have time to look back and roared angrily. The power of more than 20 Pan Qi poured into his right hand and he punched out fiercely. Rumble! After an earth-shattering explosion, a flower of blood bloomed in the void. Fang Xinan's right hand was instantly smashed into a bloody mist. An incomparably mournful scream spread far and wide. Bang! After the phoenix spear shattered Fang Xinan's right hand, it directly pierced through his body. In the end, the spear's remaining power did not diminish. It carried Fang Xinan's body and nailed him to the wall of ancient Spring City. It actually pinned Fang Xinan to the wall. Behind the wall, the phoenix spear was still trembling. Fang Xinan, who was nailed to the wall, widened his eyes. His face was full of shock, horror, and disbelief. It could be said that he died with his eyes wide open. Too cruel. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were all shocked. Just now, some of them had seen Murong Yu kill all the disciples of the Green Light sect. For a time, Murong Yu's ferocious power began to spread among the crowd. Whoosh! With a flash, a tall figure appeared on the wall. The person who came was Wei Xian, one of the captains of ancient Spring City's guards. He first glanced at Fang Xinan, who was nailed to the wall, frowned, and then looked at Murong Yu with a gloomy face. "You're causing trouble here again? Did I say that fighting is not allowed in ancient Spring City? Otherwise, you'll be killed without mercy?" As he spoke, a powerful aura erupted from his body like a tide and swept directly toward Murong Yu. Hearing Wei Xian's words and feeling the powerful aura from Wei Xian's body, Murong Yu's originally calm heart immediately became a little angry. He looked at Wei Xian with a gloomy face and sneered, "Which eye of yours saw me fighting in ancient Spring City?" Although he was nailed to the wall, he was outside ancient Spring City. Chapter 88. Murong Yu pointed to Fang Xinan's body and looked at Wei Xian with a sneer. He was unhappy with Wei Xian in his heart. No matter what the other party was, he was much stronger than himself. Who is this person? That is one of the captains of the ancient Spring City Guards, a spirit-severing stage cultivator. This kid dares to despise him so much? This kid is too arrogant. He simply doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Maybe he has a deep background and is not afraid of the ancient Spring City at all. However, he did not kill anyone in the city. Although that person was nailed behind the city wall, he is still outside the city. The people around were talking about it, but Wei Xian's face became more and more gloomy. "It's good that you don't cause trouble in the city. Otherwise, once I meet you, I will kill you without mercy." Wei Xian looked at Murong Yu indifferently, then turned around and flew away from the city wall. Idiot, a dog relying on its master's power. Just as Wei Xian was about to leave, he heard Murong Yu's words. His figure swayed slightly, and a cold, killing intent flashed in his eyes. But in the end, he didn't say anything and flew back. Murong Yu reached out and recalled the phoenix spear, then walked into the ancient Spring City with the spear on his back. Murong Yu killed more than a dozen disciples of the Green Light sect in one day, including 4 heart-stirring stage cultivators, and did not put Wei Xian in his eyes. In just half an hour, the news spread throughout the ancient Spring City. The Green Light sect was just a small sect, killing them was nothing. What they were curious about was the identity of Murong Yu. In the end, some people recognized that Murong Yu was the person wanted by Yuan Su sect. However, because the portrait was a bit blurry, and the arrest warrant said that Murong Yu was a heart-stirring stage cultivator. And the Murong Yu in the ancient Spring City was just a revolving reflection stage cultivator. This made them suspicious, but also hesitant. However, there were already many people who had noticed Murong Yu. In particular, the disciples of the Yuan Su sect in the ancient Spring City had already begun to secretly monitor Murong Yu. On the other side, after the Green Light sect learned that more than a dozen of their disciples had been killed by a revolving reflection cultivator, many masters had already rushed over. He wanted to kill Murong Yu and seek justice for the disciples who were killed. In reality, whether or not they were really here for revenge was still debatable. They were probably here for the 1 million recovery pills. 1 million origin restoration pills was a huge fortune for a small sect or a disciple of a large sect. It was precisely because of this that many people followed Murong Yu after he returned to ancient Spring City. Not long after, Murong Yu completely understood why he was wanted. It turned out that it was Yuan Su sect's doing. Could it be that the matter of him killing Sun Yuan had been discovered? After learning about this, Murong Yu frowned slightly. However, from the information he learned, it seemed that the other party only vaguely knew that he killed Sun Yuan, but they were not sure that he was the one who did it. However, as one of the top 10 sects, Yuan Su sect actually spent a lot of effort to arrest him. Was it really just to avenge Sun Yuan? Murong Yu was a little puzzled, and Hichu was also a little puzzled. They both did not know that Sun Pingxi did not only want to catch him to avenge Sun Yuan. More importantly, Sun Pingxi took a fancy to his soldier character formula and wanted to seize it. But it didn't matter. Anyway, Yuan Su sect was also looking for him, so Murong Yu was not worried at all. Want to capture him in exchange for the 1 million recovery pills? Then use your life to exchange for it. Murong Yu was not the type of person who would not fight back and would not talk back when scolded. Since Yuan Su sect wanted him, then he would not care whether the other party was one of the top 10 sects or not. Even if it was one of the top 10 sects, so what? If one came, he would kill one; if two came, he would kill two. On that day, Murong Yu directly found an inn in ancient Spring City to stay. Anyway, in ancient Spring City, even Yuan Su sect would not dare to make a move here. In the next 2 or 3 days, Murong Yu swaggered around ancient Spring City, attracting a lot of people. Even when he was resting, there were many people in the inn watching him. Murong Yu, you coward, if you have the guts to kill my Green Light sect's disciple, then don't always hide in ancient Spring City. On this day, a thunderous voice suddenly came from outside ancient Spring City. The voice was forced out by someone using true inner force and spread far and wide, rushing directly into ancient Spring City. In an instant, the entire ancient Spring City heard this voice. The people of Green Light sect are here to seek revenge. Hearing this voice, the busybodies in ancient Spring City immediately began to talk. I wonder how that Murong Yu is doing? Will he accept the challenge? Someone said. Murong Yu, coward, come out of ancient Spring City and fight to the death. The people of Green Light sect shouted outside the city, and the people in ancient Spring City were also in a heated discussion. However, as the person involved, Murong Yu still lingered on the streets of ancient Spring City without a change in expression, as if he did not hear this voice at all. Murong Yu, come out of ancient Spring City and accept your death. Such voices continued to come from outside the city. Murong Yu is really not afraid of the people of Green Light sect, is he? Seeing that Murong Yu had not responded, the crowd began to talk about it. Are you stupid? If it were me, I wouldn't go out and die. After all, Murong Yu is just a cultivator of the revolving reflection stage. You know, this time the Green Light sect has sent an elder of the Severed Soul stage. Severed Soul stage? That's Murong Yu for sure. Murong Yu wouldn't be so stupid to go out and accept his death, right? A group of idiots. I, Murong Yu, am in ancient Spring City. if you have the ability to come in and kill me. If you don't have the guts, then don't bark like a mad dog outside the city." At this time, a loud voice suppressed all the voices and spread far away. Outside the ancient spring city, the people of the Green Light sect were enraged when they heard the voice. What kind of place was ancient spring city? How could a small Green Light sect dare to be presumptuous inside? "Murong Yu, you'd better stay in ancient spring city forever, otherwise my Green Light sect will kill you." The severed soul stage elder of Green Light sect, Tao Litan, said angrily. "A group of cowards like mice, not only relying on their numbers, but their strength is also so much stronger than me, and you want to bully a rogue cultivator of the revolving reflection stage? Your Green Light sect is really too shameless." Shua. Before his voice fell, Murong Yu had already appeared on the east wall of ancient Spring City. On a small slope outside ancient Spring City, the dozens of people of Green Light sect all stood there, looking at the direction of ancient Spring City with murderous intent. It's not that they didn't dare to enter the city, but they wanted to force Murong Yu out and take him down outside the city. "Young master, I'm right here, what do you dare to do to me?" Murong Yu looked at Tao Litan and said with a sneer. "Boy, if you have the ability, come down." A Green Light sect disciple shouted. Murong Yu's eyes were like torches, and he looked over coldly. "If I go down, do you dare to come and fight?" The Green Light sect disciple who was shouting was suddenly speechless. He was only in the heartbeat stage. Murong Yu killed heartbeat stage cultivators like slaughtering dogs. Killing him was just a matter of a blink of an eye. He didn't dare to come out and fight. Seeing that this person was speechless, Murong Yu suddenly sneered. "This is your Green Light sect's elite disciple? A heartbeat stage cultivator actually doesn't dare to accept the challenge of an early stage revolving reflection stage cultivator. You'd better go back and cultivate in seclusion so you don't come out and embarrass yourselves." Ha ha ha! On the city wall, there were many cultivators outside the city. After seeing this scene, they couldn't help but laugh. They all looked at the Green Light sect disciples with disdain. Tao Litan was furious. He turned to the heartbeat stage cultivator and said, "Lu Li, go out and take down Murong Yu." Lu Li pulled a long face and said very unwillingly, "But, you're a heartbeat stage cultivator, 2 whole stages higher than him. Don't tell me you can't take him down." Tao Litan's face was gloomy, and his eyes were full of murderous intent. Seeing Tao Litan's murderous eyes, Lu Li's heart trembled, and he finally rushed out on his flying sword. "Murong Yu, come down and die." Lu Li stood in the void and shouted at Murong Yu. Murong Yu stood on the city wall and looked at Lu Li motionlessly. "I didn't expect you to come out and die. Since that's the case, I'll fulfill your wish." Before he could even finish speaking, Murong Yu had already activated the soldier formula and turned into a streak of light as he charged at Lu Li. Just as Murong Yu's figure flickered and left the ancient spring city, Tao Litian, who was on the small hill, let out a sinister laugh. He stretched out his hand and grabbed at Murong Yu. Boom! The void shattered and a big blue hand broke the sky. It reached out from the 9 heavens and directly grabbed at Murong Yu. Murong Yu let out a strange cry and disappeared with a whoosh. Just as he disappeared from where he stood, the monstrous hand had already grabbed down. Even the ground was scratched out with an incomparably huge crater. "Bastard, despicable and shameless, you dare to sneak attack!" Murong Yu stood on the city wall again, and looked at the people of the Green Light sect on the small slope and cursed. Fortunately, he had been prepared for the other party's sneak attack. Coupled with the army formula, his speed was unparalleled in the world. Otherwise, he would have been injured by Tao Litan, or even killed directly. Murong Yu stood on the city wall and cursed at the outside. All kinds of vicious words spewed out from his mouth, and he cursed until the sky darkened and the sun and moon dimmed. His scolding made the people around him feel ashamed. But the people of the Green Light sect were speechless. They were so ashamed that they wanted to find a hole to hide in. In fact, The green light sect's elder Tao Litan only attacked Morong Yu. However, he was a dignified spirit-severing cultivator. It was too shameless to attack Morong Yu, a revolving reflection cultivator. Moreover, there were many people around who had ideas about Morong Yu. Chapter 89. First, they saw Tao Litian's sneak attack, and then heard Morong Yu's curses. Immediately, some people supported Morong Yu. In this way, the people of Green Light sect were so ashamed that they wanted to die. In fact, these people did not sympathize with Morong Yu because they had good intentions, but they did not want Morong Yu to be taken down by the people of Green Light sect. After all, Morong Yu was now worth 1 million yuan recovery pills. Morong Yu stood on the city wall and cursed for a while. He felt that it was meaningless and then went back. Immediately, the people of Green Light sect also entered ancient Spring City. Their disciples were even more blatantly monitoring Morong Yu. It seemed that as soon as Morong Yu left ancient Spring City, they would make a move. In fact, was Green Light sect having this idea? In ancient Spring City, many people had this idea. Over the next few days, Morong Yu spent his days gloomily. As soon as he left the inn, there were many people in front and behind him. These people were like his loyal bodyguard. No matter where he went, they would follow closely. At night, Morong Yu used the power of Hichu to set up a restriction in the room to prevent people from breaking in. Then he directly entered the Hichu Luoshu world. Hichu, is there any way to kill these people? These days, Morong Yu's heart was filled with a lot of anger. If he relied on the Hichu Luoshu world, he could quietly leave ancient Spring City without a second person knowing. However, Morong Yu was not willing to do so. If he just sneaked away, this was not his style. Moreover, these people dared to have ideas about him, they really deserved to die. Even if he had to leave, he had to kill these people. Even if he could not kill all of them, he had to kill some of them. He wanted to let them know that even though he was only a small revolving reflection cultivator, he was not someone to be trifled with. In fact, if Morong Yu revealed his identity as Zushenzong's disciple at this time, the Green Light sect would not dare to touch Morong Yu even if they were given 10 times the courage. However, Morong Yu didn't want to do that. After all, Zushenzong could protect him for a while, but not forever. Moreover, the years he spent in Morong's house made him deeply understand that one should never rely on others. Everything should be in one's own hands. With your strength, you can only deal with heart-stirring stage cultivators at most. Although I have recovered to the severed soul stage, my strength is not very strong. I can't deal with many people. Hichu pondered for a moment and said. Morong Yu pondered. At this moment, Hichu continued, however, if you want to kill them, we don't have to do it ourselves. There's a chance. Morong Yu's eyes shot out 2 rays of light. Looking at Hichu, he quickly asked, what's the way? Formation. Hearing this, Morong Yu was suddenly discouraged. He knew nothing about formations. However, then he looked at Hichu with shining eyes. Since he knew him very well and knew that he didn't know much about formations, Hichu must have his own plans. Although your teacher isn't an expert in formations, after so many years of being influenced by what I've seen and heard, I can more or less set up a few killing formations. The top 10 sects all had their own shops in ancient Spring City, either dealing in pills, flying swords, magic weapons and so on. The manager of Yuan Su sect's shop in ancient Spring City was a severed soul stage powerhouse called Siawei. He had been here for hundreds of years. Usually, the shop was very quiet and no one made trouble. However, today there was a commotion coming from the shop. Who dares to make trouble in Yuan Su sect's shop? Siawei frowned and walked out from the back hall with a gloomy expression. At this moment, there were dozens of people inside and outside the shop, filling the entire place to the brim. One of the shop assistants grabbed the hand of a black-clothed youth and said something with an agitated expression. The black-clothed youth had a look of disdain and impatience, and was currently in a rage. What bullshit top 10 sex? Do you only sell these weapons? High-grade magic weapon flying swords? I think you're selling tofu dregs. 500,000 recovery pills for one? Why don't you go rob a bank? The black-clothed youth pointed at the shop assistants and cursed. The shop assistants didn't dare to fight back. It wasn't that they were well-mannered, but that they didn't know what to say. The shop assistant grabbed the black-clothed youth's hand, as if afraid that the youth would slip away. Siewei frowned when he saw this scene. When he saw the black-clothed young man, a cold, killing intent flashed in his eyes. What's going on? Morongyu, what are you doing here? Siewei walked up and shouted coldly. At the same time, a powerful aura swept out and locked onto Morongyu. The black-clothed youth was Morongyu. Hearing Siewei's words, Morongyu shook off the shop assistant's hand and turned to look at Siewei. He sneered and said, I'm causing trouble? Everyone who enters is a customer. Is this how Yuan Su sect treats customers? Oh right. Is it because I exposed your relationship of selling inferior products and you want to chase me away? Is this how Yuan Su sect treats customers? Morongyu looked at Siewei and sneered. Morongyu, don't think that I can't do anything to you in ancient Spring City. Yuan Su sect's shop is not a place where you can cause trouble. Leave immediately. Tisk tisk. Morongyu sneered and looked at the people around him. Everyone be the judge. I just want to buy a flying sword here. You know that someone wants to kill me recently, so I have to buy a better flying sword. I heard that Yuan Su sect has a good reputation and the quality of their flying swords is top-notch. However, you saw it just now. Those so-called high-grade flying swords are simply tofu dregs. Moreover, the manager wants to chase me out. Everyone, don't come to Yuan Su sect's shop to buy or sell things in the future. These bastards specialize in cheating people. Everyone, move to Zushinzong's shop. As he spoke, Morongyu was about to leave the shop. However, a few shop assistants from Yuan Su sect stopped him and refused to let him leave. If he left the shop just like that, they wouldn't be able to repay the losses they suffered today, even if they worked here for the rest of their lives. What's going on? Seeing that the shop assistants stopped Morongyu and refused to let them leave, Siewei frowned and shouted in a deep voice. In fact, until now, Siewei still didn't know what was going on. Although Morongyu came to make trouble, saying that Yuan Su sect's flying swords were tofu dregs was too groundless an excuse. Manager, our high-grade flying swords. A shop assistant looked at the gloomy Siewei and said carefully. Morongyu sneered as he looked at Siewei with an indifferent expression. Hearing the shop assistant's words, Siewei had a bad feeling in his heart. Then, he looked at the display window in the shop where the high-grade flying swords were placed. Low-grade flying swords, middle-grade flying swords, and even a spiritual weapon flying sword were placed there safe and sound. However, the 20 high-grade magic weapons that were originally placed on the shelf had disappeared without a trace. Seeing this scene, Siewei suddenly revealed a terrifying murderous intent. He turned around and looked at Morongyu with a murderous look. His voice was as cold as ice. Morongyu, you dare to steal my Yuan Su sect's flying swords. You'll die early. As he spoke, Siewei took a step forward and was about to kill Morongyu. Ancient Spring City had a rule that fighting was not allowed in the city, but there were exceptions. When the shop was smashed and the things inside were robbed or stolen, the thief could be taken down. Hearing Siewei's words, Morongyu sneered. With those trash flying swords? I don't want them even if you give them to me. They're just scrap metal. Boom, when Morongyu spoke, the people around couldn't help laughing. They all looked at Siewei with a funny expression. That was because the scene that had happened earlier was simply too exciting. It was not an exaggeration to say that Yuan Su sect's high-grade flying swords were scrap metal. Seeing that Siewei was about to kill Morongyu with murderous intent, a shop assistant finally spoke up. Manager, he didn't steal the flying swords. Siewei was very angry and looked at the shop assistant coldly. What the hell is going on? He crushed the flying sword. Another shop assistant said carefully. Then, he slowly recounted what had happened just now. It turned out that not long ago, Morong Yu entered Yuan Su Sek's shop. Although Morong Yu was wanted by Yuan Su Sect, they opened their business. However, they were open for business, and anyone who entered was a customer. Naturally, they wouldn't refuse Morong Yu. After Morong Yu came in, the first thing he said was that he wanted to buy a spiritual weapon flying sword. One must know that spiritual weapon flying swords were extremely rare in the cultivation world. The entire Yuan Su Sect's shop only had one spiritual weapon flying sword as the treasure of the shop. Of course, the shop assistants didn't believe that Morong Yu could afford a spiritual weapon flying sword. Morong Yu was also very straightforward and said that he wanted to buy a few high-grade flying swords in the end. Under the condition that he took out 1,000,000 yuan recovery pills, the shop assistants agreed to let him test the swords. Who would have thought that this test of the sword would result in a problem? Crack! A high-grade flying sword shattered as soon as it reached Morong Yu's hand. This scene shocked the shop assistants and the people who had come with him. Then, Morong Yu flew into a rage and said that Yuan Su Sek's shop was cheating him by using some ordinary iron to replace a high-grade flying sword. The shop assistants naturally didn't agree with Morong Yu. In the midst of the argument, they took out another high-grade flying sword, but just like the first one, Morong Yu crushed it to pieces. In a row, all 20 flying swords in the shop were destroyed. After crushing the 20 flying swords, Morong Yu was about to leave. It was then that the shop assistants finally realized what was going on. Morong Yu had purposely come to make trouble. That was why the scene just now had occurred. Xie face was so dark that it seemed to drip water. He stared at Morong Yu with frightening killing intent, as if he wanted to kill Morong Yu. A high-grade flying sword cost 500,000 yuan recovery pills. Morong Yu had destroyed 20 of them, which meant that they'd lost 10 million yuan recovery pills. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.